Welcome to the Frothcast. Nico Schirmer right here.
So I'm honored. Very happy to be here. I get pretty stoked, actually. I'm like, this is gonna be so sick.
What's the thing about surfing? Like, what captivates you about surfing? Because you're such a good skier.
I wanted to be a pro surfer.
What exactly is it what you do?
This is like surfing, but in the environment that I'm surrounded by.
Action. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Von Frothcast. It's been quite some time since we had Rob on the show, Thiago Page, Freddie Meadows, dear friends and incredible surfers. This time, we have a very, very special guest, Nico Schirmer right here with us. Is that how you say it?
That's how you say it. That's actually pretty rare to be able to pronounce it well, so I'm honored. Very happy to be here.
You're the first skier in our show.
That's strange. Not a lot of skiers pass by Portugal.
Not that many, man.
But the second Scandinavian.
That's right.
We're up to a 50% Scandi rate here.
That's right, man. Freddie Meadows, he was the first guest on the show, a dear friend, incredible surfer. We done some great exploration. But I tell you what, it was exactly when Freddie was here, he was showing me some examples of some great YouTubes. And he was like, dude, you got to watch this guy's YouTube, man. His YouTube game is through the roof. His name is Nico Schirmer. I'm like, Nico, what? Yeah, you got to watch his videos because your videos are shit compared to this guy. And I was like, I started watching your videos and I was actually really impressed. I was like, oh my God, like, fuck, this guy actually kills it, man. He's good looking, knows how to talk to a camera, you know?
Far too kind over here. I mean, you're the pretty boy of surfing, so, you know, and I mean, you have twice the amount of subscribers that I do, so I think you're doing a thing or two right, but...
No, but it's, I mean, you're definitely a reference when it comes down to the ski world, when it comes down to YouTubes. I mean, you do it really, really well. It was really inspiring to watch the videos, obviously your performance, but also the quality that you put behind it. I've been doing it for quite some while, and I was really surprised. Hey, I mean, we're doing a surf podcast right now, and you know, most of the people that are watching this probably have no clue who you are, or maybe they do. I don't know, but I think it'd be good to introduce yourself. Like, who is Nico Schirmer? Where do you grow up? Like, you know, give us the full rundown, man.
Totally. Yeah, so I'm Nico Schirmer. I'm from northern Norway, Tromsø, far up north, high up in the Arctic, and I'm actually I wanted to be a pro surfer. You know, that was my childhood dream. I lived in Australia as a kid. My parents took me down there. I was 11. We had a year down in Melbourne, down south, surf Torquay, like Bells Beach, like all those classic spots. And I discovered surf culture, all the stuff. And then it took me back home to the cold, dark north of Norway. And I was like, fuck, it's hard to be a pro surfer up here. This is going to be a long, long journey. And then I discovered skiing. And I kind of discovered that it was the same kind of culture, actually. You know, like what I saw in surf culture as a kid, like this was early 2000s. I saw just like a culture that was kind of like dominated by youth, you know, like young, like teenagers, like people in their early 20s, like defining a culture. And just, it seemed like you guys were just traveling the world, surfing crazy waves. And at this point, like back then, there was like, people weren't, you know, very politically correct. There was a bunch of like girls with no clothes on the billboards. I was 11. I was like, oh my God, what's this world?
Your mother was like, don't look that way.
Don't look at them. Don't look at that ass. Don't look at the reef girls. But it was just like this culture that was so different to like the world of sports that you have in Norway. Like Norway is dominated by like cross country skiing, football, you know, very traditional sports where you have, you know, you have coaches, you know, have these like adults who run the show. But I saw in surfing, I saw this movement and this like sport where you kind of just went out into the ocean with your friends and played around and had fun. And then someone would like pay you to do it. And I was like, holy shit, this seems like a great deal.
But true words, when you were 11 years old, when you discovered surfing, did you really like think about surfing as a profession?
No, not really. I mean, obviously, like, I mean, I always sucked.
Or are you bullshitting us?
I mean, for sure, like I was a terrible surfer. And I was just more of like surfing as a lifestyle, you know, more of like, you know, you get hooked on some things and it defines your life. And to me, it was for sure like surfing was my first love. And then I came back to Norway. It was and my parents were super nice, man. Like they drove me 8 hours to this wave they had seen breaking one time. They're not even surfers, but I was like, where are the waves? Where are the waves? And they knew a wave north of Lofoten. At this point, we didn't even know Lofoten had sick waves. But they drove this other island. It's called Andaya, and they were like, maybe there's a wave there. And they drove me 8 hours there, and and there was a wave, like randomly, no forecast, no nothing. We just drove there 8 hours, and there was a wave, and we surfed it. But that was like my one experience of surfing in Norway when I came back home. But then I discovered like what you have in surf culture. At that point, it was kind of emerging in skiing as well. Because like skiing had been this like super traditional, super old school, like the racing and the tight, like really weird looking suits and all the rules and regulations and the skiing federation and all that. But there was a group of people who some of them I know now, they're really like, yeah, good dudes like Julian Renier, Tanner Hall, these people, they kind of broke free of the organizations, and they made free skiing essentially. And I saw that, I saw those early movies from the US, and I was like, shit, this is like surfing, but in the environment that I'm surrounded by. Like I can kind of live that lifestyle of surfing, but in the mountains. And then I'm like, oh shit, I'll just do this. And here I am.
So what exactly is it what you do?
So what I do, so I mean, most people probably know skiing, like you've watched the Olympics, that kind of thing. What I do is like, kind of like what you do, maybe, I mean, you go into the mountains, you find into the ocean, and you find the biggest, gnarliest piece of the ocean, and then you surf it. And that's kind of like what I do in the mountains. Like you go outside of the ski resorts, full like adventure mode, and we just find the most beautiful, crazy looking line where it kind of looks like you'll have the most fun, basically, something that'll challenge us and be interesting. And then we climb up the thing, and then we ski down. And yeah, that's the thing. People are like, "What do you do?" Well, I go up the mountains, and then I go down the mountains.
But like, I mean, it's hard to imagine most of the people when they live, they go skiing, they take the ski lift up, they ski down a mountain, like it's pretty draining already to do that, to ski all day and using a ski lift. I mean, that's not your case. You live in a place, Tromsø, super far up north of Norway, one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life, where you have these mountains just looking over the ocean. It's one of the most scenic places, but there's no ski lifts. I mean, there's tons of snow, there's tons of beautiful mountains, there's incredible couloirs, everything, but there's no ski lift. So basically you have to walk for hours to get to the peak of a peak of a mountain to ski it down afterwards. I mean, that's pretty crazy that's your routine. If you want to do your job, you got to walk for 4 hours through these gnarly terrain to get up there, man. That's absurd, right?
But I always find that that's what we do. You got it spot on. You like hike for hours, and then you get there, and you may or may not be able to ride down. There's avalanches. Maybe you looked at the wrong thing on the map. Maybe the run is all icy. Maybe it's you need like perfect conditions. It's a lot like surfing, actually, like where you need to be able to do skiing at the highest level, like at the level that I want to ski at. Everything needs to align perfectly for that one day where you have the light, you have the good snow, you have everything, and you never really know until you get up there and you have to check. So you kind of put in like the hours of work. You get there, and at least 75% of the time it's a no-go, because avalanches are like the main danger. So you check the snow for stability. If it's not safe, you might have an avalanche and you'll probably die. So,
but you check that at the bottom, or you check that as you're climbing up?
It's a long process with the avalanche thing. It kind of starts at home, so you can like see what the weather is doing, what the snow is doing, what the wind is doing, and then you can kind of get like a mental image of what the snow will be like on the mountain. But then you sort of have this hypothesis. You have this theory of like, what is the snow going to be like once I get out there? But then once you get out there, you have to double check that. You'd be like, is the snow actually as safe as I thought it'd be? Then you look for danger signs, and you do this like, you kind of carve out a little piece of the snow, and you do like a layer, kind of like an archaeologist, when you're digging through the layers to see the history of what's been going on. And then you do that with the snow essentially, and then you can see if it's stable. You can test it. Like you can isolate a little piece of snow, you can test that. Like you tap it, like at least a little bit at first, and if it goes like when you tap a little bit, it's very dangerous. And then once you're like pounding on the thing, and if it still holds, then you're pretty good.
Wow. It's crazy how can I say it? Like there's, I mean, it's still very raw, like, I mean, there is no, it's there's human acknowledgement. You understand? It's a human judgment if it's right or wrong to go to the mountain, and you make your own judgment and you go, either you go or you don't. And that's probably also why there's so many people dying in the mountains, like far more than surfers in the sea. Like, I mean, every year you hear about stories, people passing away. Is that something that's in the back of your mind? Like when you're going up the mountain, do you acknowledge that you might not come back because some of the best skiers in the world have been buried in avalanches? Like, do you feel that
Totally.
way,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah. No, it's like, it's for sure like your life is on the line every time you go out. And I have friends who died. Two good friends of mine died this year. It's heartbreaking, of course. And what fucks with you is that it's sometimes the best people die. Like the guy who literally wrote the guidebook for my area, he passed away like a few years ago. And so you can do a lot of prep work, you can do a lot of training, you can get a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, and that helps. But in the end, it's also a bit of a numbers game. We call it exposure time. I don't know if do you think about that? Like the amount of time you spend in crazy big waves, like the more time you spend, the more chance of something going wrong, right? And it's the exact same thing in the mountain. So like we prep for everything, we prep for all the scenarios, we try to avoid the bad scenarios. But you always have to acknowledge that you can never be 100% sure, and there is sort of like you're kind of rolling the dice. That being said, and I don't know how you feel about this. Like, I mean, I've seen you surf the craziest waves, and like, I mean, we went surfing today at crazy left. It felt pretty crazy to me, but it's like for you, that's a tiny day, and to me, I was getting pounded today.
You're charging pretty hard out there. I mean, everyone's like, "Who is this guy, man? This guy's going for it."
I was getting pounded at least, and of course, like it looks really violent, it feels really violent, but at the same time, it is kind of safe. Like the chance of
sure.
something happening in the mountain too. Like, sure, people do die every year, but most people don't die. And it's interesting, actually. A buddy of mine, he's a researcher, studies avalanches, and he talks about deaths per million. So like you have different activities, right? And then you can compare how dangerous they are. So you have like driving a car for 8 hours on the highway. Like how many people statistically die doing that? And 1 million people do it. How many die? And skiing, like the way I do in the backcountry, if you take normal safety precautions, it's kind of similar actually to driving a full day on the highway. Like it's of course, yeah, you're speeding down the road 100 kilometers an hour. You're an avalanche train on the mountain.
Yeah, but I mean,
you can always die, but most of the time you're not going to die. You know what I mean?
But I mean, the way you put it into perspective is there's also millions of people on the road, right? And obviously, like you see people dying every day on the road. Whereas, when you're skiing, it's there's not a million people out there. There's only a few, and every year there's the few people that are out there. There's still how many people die in the mountains every year? 50 people, 100 people, maybe even more. No, I don't know.
Yeah, in my area, it's generally like 10 people every year.
Really, in your area? Imagine all over Europe. It's kind of scary. I mean, that's something that people put into perspective. People compare avalanches to big waves a lot, because I mean, the way they come down when you look at an avalanche and the way a big wave comes down, the energy that comes down, the way it rolls, it's kind of similar, And people ask me a lot why there hasn't been as many deaths out in the ocean compared to in the mountains, And I think the answer is pretty simple, is because a mountain always looks very inviting, and it's a hidden danger. Like, okay, you might be, oh yeah, like this looks fine. Like there's not the inclination, that is not big enough, something like that. People go out there that aren't experienced as you, and all of a sudden they're stuck in an avalanche and, they die. Whereas surfing, like, it's just, if you rock up at the Nazarea or any big waves, like you're just, like there is no, it's not as inviting, like
terrifying.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not, like I want this to be interpreted in the right direction. Obviously, climbing up a huge mountain, but sometimes avalanche happens in not so gnarly terrain as well, right? I
Totally,
mean,
yeah.
And people, it happens when you least expect it,
For sure. And we have a saying actually, and it's the mellow stuff that gets you killed.
Really?
And this is a common misconception in skiing, is that like the steeper the mountain is, the gnarlier it is, and the more dangerous it is for avalanches. But avalanches, it's actually a game of friction and gravity. So you have snow, it's on the side of the mountain, and you have one force pulling it down the mountain, it's gravity, and then you have friction making it stay stuck. And below, if something is less steep than 30 degrees, or like less inclination than that, there can't be an avalanche, because friction will always beat gravity. And then if it gets steeper than 30 degrees, gravity starts working a little harder, friction starts working a little less hard, and the snow can move down the mountain and you can have an avalanche above 30 degrees. And 30 degrees isn't very steep. 30 degrees isn't crazy left. 30 degrees is Riberas. You know what I mean? That's where all the tourists go.
Really?
Yeah. And so it's exactly like you say. You can have a mountain that looks super inviting, sunny powder day, perfect snow, sparkles in the snow. You just want to go for it. And it can actually be a death trap.
Really?
And most avalanches actually go at 38 degrees of inclination, which is sort of the sweet spot, which isn't steep at all. Like, I mean, you said your girlfriend skied 4 days a season. She could totally ski that, you know? So that's the interesting part.
Don't tell that to my girlfriend, please, man. I mean,
yeah, stay out of avalanche terrain. Okay. Yeah. Let's keep her alive. Nice girl.
That's interesting, man. Like it's good to know. So have you been in a situation like have you been in a gnarly situation like that where you really felt like it was a close call? I mean, you've had plenty of wipeouts before, like heavy wipeouts. We're gonna get to that, but avalanches. Has there ever been like a super close call where you're like, fuck?
Yeah, I've been in 2 avalanches. And I think another key difference with the wave and an avalanche, of course, is that with a wave, like you have the avalanche come over you and then it kind of stops and then it's just the ocean again. And you can come up, especially if you're wearing a flotation device. Whereas with avalanche, you're stuck under there. And the reason people die is because they get stuck under the avalanche and they suffocate. So I think after 15 minutes, they say it's like 90% of people are dead if they're still stuck under there. So the thing we do is like, of course, first we do all the preventive work. Like we make sure, we think it's safe. And then the reason we still go in is like we wear a beacon and we only ski one by one. So if a person is caught in an avalanche, your buddies can come and dig you out. We have shovels, we have probes, we can find you under the snow. But and then there's always the danger of like being pulled into a rock and like just mangled and dying. And a certain amount of people die from that too. But I've been in 2 avalanches where I've actually been like pulled down the mountain, and it is terrifying. It is a lot like being smacked at crazy left, actually. Except the big difference is
that you're not going to come up.
Yeah, you might never come up, and it's a lot longer. So like the first one, I was pulled down like maybe 300 meters, and it was kind of early season. There was a bunch of rocks. I'm just kind of like protecting myself and like trying to not hit rocks. And then there's like sometimes you're pulled over a little cliff, and then you're just kind of in. So you're in the wipeout, but all of a sudden you're like weightless, and you're like not sure what you're gonna hit.
Jesus.
And especially I had last spring, I was in Chamonix and I was being pulled down the mountain in Chamonix in an avalanche. And
really?
Yeah, and the thing with Chamonix, like if you don't know Chamonix, it's kind of crazy. It's like the Nazaré, I would say, of the ski world, just the gnarliest terrain, massive, big cliffs everywhere, and just kind of like crevasses, glaciers, all this stuff. And I'm being pulled down the mountain, and I've skied this run before. Like I've spent 4 years living in Chamonix, and I was just trying to think of myself as I'm in the avalanche. And I'm like, was there like a huge cliff beneath me, or was there not a huge cliff beneath me? Like I couldn't remember. And then, and then I'm like, at one point I'm in the air and I'm weightless. And I'm like, fuck, was there a big cliff? And then like, luckily I hit the ground like fairly soon, and I'm not in like a crevasse or anything like that. And I wasn't even buried, and I was okay. But it's like, it's that moment, like you have 30 seconds, a minute where you're just like, I have no clue if I'm going to survive this, if I'm going to come out of this, like what bones I'm going to break. And I don't know. Is it like, what are the wipeouts like? Like a Nazaré taking a big wipeout, like, do you know, like the moment you like fall off your board, do you know if you're going to be okay? Or is it that like,
it's a moment. You never know what you're going to get, like sometimes you fall in a huge wave and you just don't know, you expect it to be really heavy and it's not. It really depends where you fall, how you fall, and waves just work differently, And but when you fall, it's a shock, It's like you don't believe that you're falling until you fall, And then all of a sudden you're underwater. You're getting like, it's being like in a fight with Mike Tyson, Like it's pulling you in every direction. Actually, like Conor McGregor, it's like more like MMA, Like You're not fighting back, jiu-jitsu, you're under, and all of a sudden, so like your arms being torn apart, and it's so violent that you don't really understand what's going on, It's like falling on, on your back, and all of a sudden you can't breathe. For me, it takes me into a different dimension, to be honest. It it's a dimension that transcends this world, and I don't really know what's happening, and my animal instinct comes up and it's fighting for survival. That's the feeling of wiping out, and then all of a sudden, like all you got to think about is pulling the vest to help you come up to the surface.
Is that what brings you up, the vest?
Yeah, it helps bring up. Sometimes the pressure is so strong
Yeah.
that you can't come up. So you have to, obviously the vest helps, but and the vest saves your life at a lot of times. But sometimes the pressure is so strong that the vest doesn't open.
Oh my God.
You understand?
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And it takes a long time. So you're under there, it doesn't open, you've pulled it. So there's CO2 canisters that open that go into the bladder. But the pressure of the wave is so strong that it doesn't inflate. There's
Oh
so
my
much
God.
power pulling
Oh
in.
my God.
So you gotta be prepared to endure that, but eventually it'll come up and it'll bring you up to the surface, And that's why flotation is so important in surfing. That's why, it has been it has saved my life, it has saved my friend's life. And a lot of people were dying in 2012s because we didn't have these vests. And then the whole community got together and said, fuck this,
Okay,
we
so
want to survive.
So you guys approach the brands and be like, we need something to actually live?
Yeah, it was more the elders, like guys like Shane Dorian, Cole Christensen, Daniel Couto, Greg Long, Pete Mel. All those guys got together and talked to the brands and say, hey, we need to develop something. And that was Patagonia, Quicksilver, Billabong. Those companies got together and developed the suit for their athletes that then expanded to everyone else. And that was I was still part of a generation where we didn't use inflation vests.
Yeah.
So I'm quite fortunate to be part of that, to have that early, because starting off as a big wave surfer and not having an inflation vest is like a 50% chance of surviving. You really didn't know if you'd make it or not, inflation vests have made the sport a lot more safe. It has also allowed us to surf Nazaré, we only able to surf Nazaré because of these vests, for sure.
Okay, so you didn't do that before the vests came around?
So I was actually in Nazaré in 2004. I was 14 back then, surrounded of some of the best big wave surfers in the world, Ross Clark Jones, Manoa Drolet, these guys were heroes for me. They had surfed some of the biggest waves in the world. And all of a sudden I'm sitting right there next to them because I was passionate about big waves, It was like, these guys are coming to surf this wave in Nazaré, Apparently it's one of the biggest waves in the world. And those guys, they showed up, they looked at the wave and they turned their backs and left. For me, it was a shock. It was like, holy shit, Ross Clark Jones is turning it, is not ready for this.
Yeah.
And then Garrett came 2010 with all his expertise. And yeah, it was kind of like, wow. People, the safety strategy, the safety equipment, the equipment in general wasn't ready. Like the wave runners were only 110 horsepower. These days they're close to 300 horsepower,
Yeah.
And we need those safety vehicles to for us to surf these big waves and surf it in most safest way possible. So I think like 15 years ago it was like an insane move to surf Nazaré. These days we've really tried our best to ride these waves, but also we all, people think we're crazy by riding these waves, but we're not crazy, man. We want to come home. We want to live our best lives, surrounded by our family, have a great time, and obviously ride these huge waves in the safest way possible. Obviously, we know accidents, the exposure, as you were saying, being exposed to some of the biggest waves, to all that power, to the rocks. There's so much stuff happening around us, like there's always near-death experiences, people getting run over by the wave runners, like getting insanely pounded where you're breaking bones, backs, head injuries, ending up on the rocks. There's been a lot of close calls. We've had some near passings. Unfortunately, we had Marcio Freire that passed last year, and it was a big shock for the community. But we actually were really lucky. Like we're able to squeeze by most of the times, and because we come up, we eventually will come up. And then when you come up, there's always a time to save someone's life,
Yeah,
like
in between the waves.
Yeah, in between the waves, or if you catch someone,
Yeah.
Even when they're lifeless, let's say, there's always a time where you can still do CPR to proceed with, bringing this person back to life, So obviously the inflation vests help coming up to the
a lot of
surface.
the guys come up and they're like, they're not breathing. Like they're unconscious?
Yeah, I mean that's
Holy-
what we train for. We train when we're training in the pool. We train for being comfortable with our own drowning. Okay,
No way. Is
So-
that what you're doing out there in the pool?
Yeah.
Is that your little drowning pool, little drowning pit? I looked at that and I was like, oh, this looks nice. It's like looking at the view,
comfortable,
enjoying the sunset,
yeah.
and you're in there drowning, full survival mode.
No, but it's like you're battling your mind.
Yeah,
You want to calm your mind to being comfortable without oxygen, and eventually you'll pass out. You want it to be a peaceful pass out, like you want to train your mind to be okay with that, because if you pass out and you come up to the surface, your teammate is still going to have time to pick you up and proceed CPR and bring you back to life. One of my best friends in surfing when we grew up was Alex Botelho, a legend in the sport. During the competition, he was 10 minutes unconscious, inhaling water.
Oh my God.
And he was brought back to life, rushed to hospital, and he lives a normal life these days. I mean, he's never been back. We're still working on his comeback, but he's alive. He has kids. He's functioning well. So
did he get the? I've had that actually with a buddy. Like we were 15. He was under an avalanche for 20 minutes.
Jesus.
Came out like all blue and messed up. Obviously, like most people are dead after 15. My buddies were able to dig him out, and he quit. Like he was over it, and I totally understand it.
For sure.
Like you have that kind of experience, and then you're like, shit.
For sure.
But it's interesting, right? Because there's so much focus on all these sides of the sports and like all the risk, and obviously it is really dangerous, and I do think that's a part of it, and like also kind of like a necessary part of it. I love going into a situation that's potentially really, really freaking dangerous, but then having the skill, the experience, and like the physical ability to make that really dangerous situation safe. That's such a cool feeling, like, I mean, you must feel that you're on that crazy wave at like Nazaré. Like to anyone looking at that from the outside, it looks insane. But I think, sorry.
One of the cameras shut off. We're back after a small production issue.
Hello. We can just
Production.
cut to me. I'll just keep.
Should we call up for? I mean, we deserve a little beer. Production, please bring us the beers. Come on.
Bring us the beers.
He acts like he's the manager, but he gets all pissed when giving orders like that. But he's a multifunction, Antonio. Round of applause for Antonio. Come on.
Yeah, a little applause. I gotta say, like, I'm freaking impressed with your team here. I came in here. I'm used to my little Norwegian YouTube setup. There's like 3 guys working. You have a guy getting the beers. You got the podcast studio going on,
Bro. But
you got a good setup.
Hey,
here.
but you know what? Congrats to you, because you can make shit happen with a small team, what we can't achieve with a big team, huh?
Oh, I don't know. No, but yeah, I mean, like, just to wrap up the whole like risk thing, because like I think a lot of people like focus on it, and I do think the risk is an essential part of it. It is nice to master risk, but also it is.
There we go.
There we go.
The real pretty boy in the room, Antonio.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thanks.
But also, it's so safe. Like I crash all the time. I crash so much, like, because I think if, at least for me as a skier, like I want to be skiing at that sort of like that sweet spot where you're just maybe about able to do it, and we talk a lot about objective risk and subjective risk. So there's the objective risk, is like rock falling on your head from the mountain, or like avalanches, all the stuff that happens to you, a great white shark biting your leg while you're trying to score a nice wave in South Africa. And I think that risk I want to minimize all the time. I hate sharks. Don't like it. I do not like avalanches. I'm actually going to say, I do think sharks are nicer than avalanches. I'll just say that to you, surfers, so you have it well. Because I think what fucks with me with avalanches is that I can affect it. And if I make a wrong decision and I end up in an avalanche, it's kind of my fault. Whereas with the shark, you're just like, it's up to fate. Whatever happens, this is destiny. If the shark wants to bite me, it'll bite me, and there's nothing I can do about it.
I tell you what, I hate sharks, and I hate the feeling that I know that there's a shark around. And you can tell when there's a shark around.
How can you tell?
You just know. It's your instinct, bro. You gotta listen to your instinct, and you know when the shark is around. You smell it, and then I've had it so many times where you just feel there's something bigger than you around. You start looking around, it starts smelling a little fishy, and then all of a sudden there's like a fin, or something like that.
You actually had a fin like pop out?
So we were in Cortes Bank. We're riding in Cortes Bank in the middle of the ocean, right at the red triangle.
Dude, I watched the reel from that. That looks crazy.
Yeah, it was insane.
Like that whole boat mission. How far out from San Francisco?
We're like 360 kilometers out from San Diego.
San Diego, middle of the sea.
Like a wave in the middle of the ocean. Like we rocked up in the morning. It was so dead glassy, and then all of a sudden there's a wave that was showing up on the radar, on the boat radar.
The wave
It was showing up on the boat radar. It was that big that was showing up on the boat radar. But it's so weird. All the ways I've surfed over the years is like you always have a land reference, and you always see land, and there you're just in the middle of the ocean. And first thing, we're getting skis in the water, and all of a sudden there's a tuna head that's floating, that's just been eaten, like a massive tuna head, the size of half of our body or something like that. And it was just eaten by something bigger than that,
God.
So, and
then you guys
like,
still went out?
Yeah, we still went out. We still went surfing, surfed all day, best conditions ever. You were like sitting on the ski, when you're waiting for a wave, you're in the water, holding onto the rope, like you're bait out there, like
you're literally bait on a line.
Exactly. That's what it felt like. You were like you felt like a bait, and then there was one girl that saw a shark, and everyone's just like, oh, fuck, there's a shark, get on the ski. But like, oh, the waves are too good. We got to keep going. Oh, shit. So we just surfed all day, and it was probably the sharkiest place I've ever surfed. And yeah.
It's the same, only sharky place that I've really surfed is South Africa. Like I stayed in J-Bay for 3 months and just love that place. J-Bay. Yeah. Oh my God. But you have those shark trackers. Like they put trackers on the sharks and you can see online like where they swim. And they're just cruising in there. They're just like in there all day and you're surfing. But yeah, same thing. You just got to like put it out of your mind, I guess, if it's that good. And you also know the chance of them coming to eat you is tiny. It's
do you remember that final of Mick Fanning where he gets attacked by a shark?
Yeah, and Julian comes up to like help him out. What a bro! Like that's true, like a friend.
So crazy. I mean, I was with Mick in Ireland. We were surfing together, and I mean, Mick is one of the nicest guys ever. like biggest legend, incredible surfer, incredible athlete. Inspired me to be, to elevate myself as a professional. And really? We had just been to a trip. He had given me a board. Like we had a really good time. And then a couple of months later, I was just coming back from a trip from Ireland. He made the final at J-Bay. We were all watching live, the final of J-Bay. The whole surfing community stops. All of a sudden, he's sitting there. There's a close-up shot of him, and there's a shark coming through the lineup and just like getting tangled on his hip. He goes down. He disappears for a few seconds. Then he comes up. I don't know. Did you see that clip?
I saw that, and he punches the shark at one point.
Jesus.
He's like fully like having a boxing fight with that thing. Yeah, it's crazy. And I've surfed like right there. Yeah. And so they're there. Yeah. And
that was, I mean, that's you saw one of your biggest heroes, friends, getting pretty much eaten up by a shark and surviving, like that was one of the biggest. I think that's the only moment surfing really made it.
Yeah. Yeah, that went like big. That went into the mainstream viral. For sure. So how many times is Mick world champ?
I think he's 3 times world champ.
3 times world champ. But he's from like the pre-air era, no?
Yeah, he was always the guy that pushed the limits, he was the guy that was good. Like
he was doing like those
the fire days and stuff like that.
I saw a clip of him on Instagram the other day.
Fastest
so
surfer,
fast, yeah. So
still
smooth.
rips, man. Still rips. He came back actually last year. He came back with his family, and he's doing pretty well, man. He's just enjoying, investing, living the retired world champion life. Still sponsored, still ripping, looking for great waves.
Do you think was that like the golden age of surfing, like being a professional surfer? Like I heard about his deals and like Joel Parkinson's, like they were cashing in back then.
Man, those guys, I mean, those were definitely the golden years of surfing, I would say. People were making a lot of money from the industry. Rip Curl, Billabong, Quicksilver, Quicksilver had like 5-6 guys on multi-million euro deals, like I still, even in Europe, there's a lot of guys that were sponsored and were making a couple $100 grand a year, like just being a European surfer.
Yeah.
Like if you look around these days, no one's sponsored, like fuck, if you're sponsored, you're lucky, if you're able to make your trips, you're lucky. I think there's a loophole in big wave surfing, especially in Nazaré these days. You have like a lot of big brands like Porsche, Red Bull, Mercedes, Tudor, that are really investing into.
This is great time for like a sponsor shout out. Piss, Yamaha,
Exactly.
Paisel, all the best surf brands.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's definitely like a loophole in Nazaré and 100 foot wave in town and stuff like that. Like,
I think everybody gets Nazaré. Like you don't have to be a surfer. You look at that thing, you see it's gnarly. Like I think that probably has like more marketing potential than like
I feel like everywhere you travel these days, anywhere in the world, I would say 90% of the people know what Nazaré is.
Yeah.
Like they've heard of Nazaré, they associate it to big waves. There's thousands of people coming in summer, winter, just to see the big waves. Like people that have no relationship to surfing. So there's definitely like a marketing appeal when it comes down to that. There's still a lot of people struggling, but there's also people that are capitalizing. Like Sebastian Steutner being sponsored by Porsche, for instance, or Garrett being sponsored by Mercedes. But yeah, I mean, I was sponsored by Nike during the golden years. If I would be sponsored by Nike these days, I'd be cashing in, my man.
Boom! This house would be twice as big, and this is already a big house, guys. Pretty big house. Yeah. No, that's cool. And
how's it? I mean, how's it in skiing? How's it? Who are the guys that make the most money in skiing?
I was just gonna ask you, like, do you feel lucky that you
Oh, the beer's kicking in.
The beer's kicking in. No, because I feel I mean, you're obviously into big wave surfing as a 14-year-old, right? Like you were into what you do today. Like it
was a passion. I never thought I would be a big wave surfer.
Exactly. Okay, yeah, because it was too big, or like
no, it was just I don't know. Like there was no career path as a big wave surfer.
Yeah.
Like I did what I was told.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you grow up to be a world champion one day, like that's what you do. That's what the talent you have. This is the brand. You just shut up and live the dream, Like I never thought I was going to be a big wave surfer, for me, big wave surfing was a passion. Like when I was 14 years old, going to Nazaré with my heroes was like, not that I wanted to ride the biggest wave because my sponsors wanted me to. No, I was a part of it because I wanted to. And I just wanted to kind of see where it leads me to. And obviously that has changed a lot these days, it changed a lot, but yeah.
No, but it's interesting because like with skiing, for sure now it's like backcountry, like the segment of skiing that I'm in is booming. And actually the fastest growing sport in the US last year was like ski touring and snowboarding, splitboarding on the snowboard. Really? So like human powered skiing and snowboarding in the mountain was like, of all the sports in the US, the fastest growing one was this. And I'm just feeling so freaking lucky. Like I got into, like I was super into making videos as a kid. I loved photography. I followed all the surf media. Like the surf media was like super inspirational for me. Like all the Kai Neville stuff, like the stuff like Dion Aegis was doing, like Dion TV and like Dane stuff, Marine Layer, all the like the early.
Bro,
like,
how the fuck did you end up being a YouTuber, man? If you used to watch the
yeah, you screwed up. No, but then it's like, but I find it so interesting because like I had all these passions that I loved and that I was into for years, and then I just got really freaking lucky that all this stuff kind of blew up, like making videos, telling stories with videos, YouTube. YouTube wasn't a thing when I got into making videos, and then like when YouTube became a thing, I already had the skill. Because I was already doing it. I was doing commercial work. I was doing like artsy projects for myself. Like I had that skill when YouTube became a thing, and then it worked out. And same thing with like my style of skiing. Like that wasn't a thing at all. Like when I was a kid, and the reason I got into it, like the reason I was hiking up the mountains was because I wasn't a super professional, like big time American skier. So I didn't have a helicopter to fly me to the peak. So I just had to climb up, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll do that. Like there's sick mountains over here. I'll go ski those. And I just did that. And all of a sudden that becomes like the focal point of the industry. So like in skiing right now, touring, especially like during COVID, is like just blowing up. It's like the segment that's growing the most. And I happen to kind of randomly find myself as kind of like one of the guys who are pushing that segment of skiing, which is lucky. And then you get budgets. And then it works. And I think also doing YouTube stuff, like so what I do, for anyone who hasn't watch my channel, please come on, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe, Nico Schirmer.
I mean, I'm not as pretty or as gnarly as this guy, but what was my thread? I got stunned by your.
Can't disagree, mate. I can't disagree on that one.
No, but because like I think there was an era in skiing where people were just throwing money at, like the guy doing the trick at X Games and just assuming that was good marketing. And then I felt like there was kind of a party going on and there was just a bunch of money being thrown around. And then people kind of like, I feel like we're kind of in the morning after phase, that a little bit hungover, there was a lot of money spent. And now the marketing departments are really focused on like return on their investment. And especially like for what I do, like my category, it's so easy to say, here's your marketing value. I'm not just like a guy people think is cool. I have like hard numbers about how many people watch this stuff, that kind of thing, which is
How many people watch your channel, man? How many views
half
do you have?
half as many as yours.
No. How many people? I mean,
1.4 million unique viewers every year.
Wow. What about how many views has your channel drawn out of other? That's pretty cool. Like, I mean, watching, like, just looking at the stats of all your life of YouTube, like, how many views have you drawn out to your?
I'm not sure about like totals, but I tell my sponsors 5.4 million a year, which is like a good year. But it actually dropped a little bit last year. I took a little detour. I made a feature film, my first like movie for like theatrical distribution. We had it in cinemas and stuff like that. So I think it dropped a little bit last year, but I'm coming back. So I'm gonna focus 100% on that moving forward. But I don't know, is that the same in surfing? Like, have you seen that kind of shift? Because like in skiing, it was this world where you had the comp skiers, you had the old sort of like, I guess kind of like the Taylor Steeles of the ski world. And then like in the snowboarding world, it's crazy because like all the Taylor Steeles, like Standard Films, Mac Dog, they all died. In the ski world, they kind of stuck around. But then a lot of the culture has kind of shifted towards like, I guess, like what we do.
So I see a lot of similarities in your career, in my career. For me, I used to compete growing up and I always see like, I used to love making movies, like my own movies. When I finished school, I did like a video, like my first videos, like my ex-girlfriend was filming and I used to edit them. So I was right there at the time where, making videos, like I'm talking about, 15 years ago, you understand? And YouTube started coming on into play, Facebook, Instagram. And I think those platforms gave an audience to people that aren't based in the heart of surfing. You understand? If you wanted to be a professional surfer back in the day, you had to go to the US and be there, crack the code of, knowing the right people, being in the right magazines, being in the right movies. I feel like social media and content creation and making it open to anyone has really given the chance for someone that's talented, that has a unique story to tell, that comes from a unique place to really put out their content and just show the world how good they are in a way and show the waves they surf. And that was kind of me, like I started making my own videos, independent, with no one, not with the What Use, not with the Kai Nevilles, but they started blowing up because they're unique. I started surfing these waves in Ireland. There was a video, I called it Divine Intervention because I was supposed to go to Hawaii, 2012.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going to Ireland instead.
That's a pretty big like, let's go to Hawaii. No, let's go to Ireland.
No, let's go to Ireland before we go to Hawaii. So I ended up going to Ireland and I scored this incredible slab. That really put me on the map, on a global level. I remember arriving in Hawaii that year and like, the big dogs were like high-fiving me, like big Hawaiian guys, like that I looked up to. They're like, fuck, sick, that wave. And, that was really the start of the internet, 2012, for action sports.
Yeah.
And I really felt the impact of how a video can impact positively, like a surfer that's not from a certain region. And I remember showing up at Hurley at the time. Bob Hurley was high-fiving me, and Pat O'Connell. We were like, "Hey, dude, we don't want you to go to Brazil and win competitions in Brazil. We want you to be creating content, make your unique stuff and make it blow up on the internet." And that was kind of like that's what I did, and that's what I started doing, and that's what gave me a career, at the end. Like, fuck, I'm 34 right now, and I've been doing kind of the same for the last 10 years. I shifted into, more big waves and always trying to evolve in some way or another, performance, trying to get better and better each year, trying to do different stuff. But, I feel like content production really started, that long time ago. Yeah.
And it's pretty sick because like I mean, I've been surfing, I mean, your home area now for a week, and it's amazing, right? I mean, first of all, it's beautiful. Beautiful people, beautiful, great food, all that stuff. But also the waves here are amazing. And I think what's super cool with this era compared to, like you say, the old era where you had to go somewhere. Like in the skiing, you had to go to Aspen for the X Games. You had to go to Alaska. And if you were and be in like the movie, like one of two movies from Alaska. And if you weren't doing that, you couldn't do it. And to be able to do that, there were gatekeepers. So there was like a guy on some brand or in some like TV channel, and they were like, we pick you. You're gonna be the pro.
And it comes down to contacts as well. Like, who do you know?
Yeah.
Like, who are you friends with? You understand? It's not necessarily who's the most talented. Like it's
Totally.
like, okay, I got Nico Schirmer, the Norwegian that comes from Tromsø that I've never heard of, or Nic von Rupp comes from Portugal. It was like, okay, Nic von Rupp, the Portuguese surfer that's surfing these heavy slabs. Like is not dependent of this production company that's picking their buddy Americans. And that was really my breakthrough in my career, and it really changed my life, I guess, and it was all followed by passion,
Yeah.
I remember actually, going to Hawaii, and I was surfing Pipeline, and I got my waves at Pipeline over the years, but there's 1,000 people going after the same shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, why the fuck? Like, crowded spots is something in surfing, it's not, you see a couloir and you're going to ride it at some point.
Yeah.
In surfing, it's like, there's 1,000 people waiting for the same wave. Everyone goes to the North Shore, everyone goes to Hawaii waiting for the same thing.
It's crazy.
Crazy wave at Pipeline. And it came to a point, I got my wave. It was like Black Swell. I think it was like December 12, 2012.
Oh, you remember yeah.
And I got my wave, and it was, I got my wave, and I turned the page. I said, you know what, fuck it, man. Like, I'm never gonna come back here. Like, I have way better waves in Ireland. I have way better waves in Portugal.
Really? Wow, this is you're shooting from the hip here. Okay, cool. I like it. So, are we saying that Pipeline is overrated?
It's not overrated. Pipeline is one of the best waves in the world versus 1,000 guys out. And
we can say it. I don't know. I'm not from your world. You guys can hate on me.
I mean, look, Pipeline is the photo studio of the world.
Totally. But like wave quality, like talking pure wave quality.
Incredible wave. It's no hand, like Pipeline is one of the best waves in the world. Hands
better
down.
Than Chopu?
One of the most, Chopu, one of them as well. But like there's Chopu, there's Pipeline, there's other waves around Europe that are maybe not as good, but up there.
Yeah.
And people have seen Pipeline, people have seen Chopu, but people haven't seen the waves, that we have here, our doorstep. And that's really what gave me the breakthrough. All of a sudden, I'm surfing these slabs that people never seen about, and it was really a wow factor. I was like, wow, this is insane. Where's this wave? And things went viral, and that really started my media career.
Yeah, you just realized Pipeline was lame, and then it all went from there. I love it. But I think it's pretty cool, and I feel like I talk about it like how it was democratized in a way, because like you could bypass the gatekeepers. Like I never, like, because I got started in like the whole, like I was skiing my whole life, like that was my life, but I thought I was going to be a ski bum, like I went to high school. I remember having a talk with my like teacher, like, a student teacher, little chat. He was like, what are your goals? I was like, you know what, as long as I pass, it's okay, because I'm just going to surf and ski when I get out of here, and that's going to be my life. And then, of course, I'm a super geeky dude. I went to law school and did all the shit. But like, I never thought I would be a pro skier.
That's right. You're a fucking lawyer, man. I mean, how many skiers?
Where are my glasses? I need to put on some glasses because I've got the geek energy over here. But I never thought, like, because that door wasn't open, and that door was like on the other side of the world. And like where I live, which now I live in the perfect place to be a pro skier, because I can walk out my door, drive 20 minutes, and climb the most amazing mountain in the world with like fjords all around, whales popping out of the sea, just like everything you need to have a great experience on skis and like have a great adventure. And then if I document that the right way, that's the perfect product to like be a professional skier. Like my studio is right there, but that didn't exist when I was a kid, so I couldn't even dream of that. And I think that's so cool to like have that come in like later, like, oh shit, this is a thing. And I think it has opened it up for more people. But at the same time, like we were talking about it before, with the kids coming up today, like in a way it's opened up for more people. but it also kind of requires like a whole different skill set, you know? I mean, I've seen you work like this. I mean, you spend a lot of time on the computer. I spend so much time on the computer. Like you got to organize a team. You got to run a production company basically. And I feel like today it's kind of shifted to where it's more like, yeah, you got to be like the athlete, but you also need to be like the producer and all this stuff. So it's like, in a way, it's opened up for more people, but maybe like a narrow set of people who have that skill and that drive. And I think it's kind of like random, like at least in skiing, like so many of my pro skier friends are like, they're like the kid who did bad at school. They're the kid who had too much energy. They're like the ADD guy who couldn't like, you know, deliver the test on time, you know, like the assignment. And
our heads were just elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And now to be the pro athlete, you kind of have to deliver that assignment on time. It has to be uploaded. I mean, and that's difficult, I think.
Yeah, and things have changed so much over the years. You know, back in the day, I mean, during my Nike days, like, I mean, they would do everything for me. Used to do the marketing, you know, do the videos for me, do this, do that. That has really changed. These days, I mean, it's not enough to be an incredible surfer athlete. You know, like you need to be, same as you were saying, you need to be able to work. You need to be sociable, likable, create good content, have good social media following, and something that you have to create yourself.
Yeah.
People don't realize that. I mean, to put up an incredible video, to put up a podcast like this, it requires a lot of time, a lot of people, a lot of preparation, and people don't appreciate that. You know, like you guys should be appreciating it a little bit more. You know, throw that thumbs up, leave us a comment.
You don't get nice comments? What's your comment section like?
I mean, I get a lot of hate for sure.
On YouTube too?
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
really?
On YouTube too.
Shit, because like
No, I it's mostly positive. But
Yeah.
There's always a couple haters, you know,
Oh,
and it's
man.
funny, you know. Like I take it. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. It's part, you know, like it's constructive criticism, you know.
But do they hate on the surfing or like the way you present it? Like what's the criticism?
You know, for instance, yesterday I put up a photo where I'm walking in snow and I have this guy that does an emoji where he's like puking, you know? Like,
Dude, I put up a TikTok video and like I have people commenting like the grandpa emoji, and I'm like, yeah, I am past 30. But I just got to say, like YouTube is like so supportive. Like those, I mean, of course, there's some haters.
Yeah.
Like you get, especially like I talk about some like political stuff, shit like that. You get some hate, and I also get hate on like my risk assessment. People can be very critical of like, oh, you shouldn't have been there, and I'm like, you know what, you got to risk the biscuit to get some fun sometimes. But I am blown away because the internet can be just a cesspool of shit. But like my YouTube comment section, there's so much love. I can go in there and I'm like, oh, thanks guys, thanks guys.
Good.
Like, do you get that? Like, oh, you're the best surfer in the world, or we love you, sort of thing.
Bro, you know what? I have a friend of mine that's you know, a manager, you know, works a consultant company, really successful guy, and he's like, bro, you're so lucky, man. You know, like whenever you feel bad, you just got to open up your Instagram. And you have all these likes, you have all these comments, you know, and I'm like, fuck, I never thought about that. But that's kind of true, you know, like in some way
There's
have
so much support.
you have love, you know, like people enjoying what you do, and not so much for the ego side of things, but like, you know, feel appreciated for your work in some way, you know, like, and I mean, it's a kind of a lame thing to say, you know, like I don't, to be able to expose yourself as much as we do, you got to be able to not take it as serious as well, you know?
Yeah.
Because there will always be a lot of hate, you know, and there will always be a lot of heat. There will also be a lot of love, but, you know, you just have to let it flow and, you know, go through one ear to the other. And
Totally. And I think a big thing for me is like realizing, like, because I engage with a bunch of those people. Like, I'll have someone who like will comment something like really, really mean, like just something crazy in my comments. And I'll be like, whoa, that's like super mean. Like, why are you saying that? And I'll DM them, be like, hey, bro, like, what's going on? Like, what's your, why did you say that? And then like just talk to the person, and the person be like, oh shit. Like, first of all, these people who hate online, they don't realize that the person on the receiving end is a person. You know, like I think like having a public persona, like some people will just forget that, oh, you're actually just a dude who has feelings, and then when I engage with some of these people, most of them turn out to be really nice and be like, "Oh, sorry, I said that. That was mean. Sorry, bro."
They just want attention, man. Those
Yeah,
guys
or
just want attention.
they just don't like think, you know. They're just like you're just kind of like or they put you on like a pedestal where you're like, "Oh, you're doing so well that you probably don't care if I say that you're the shittest human on the planet." I'm like, I care. If you say that I'm the shittest human on the planet, I care.
They just want attention.
Yeah.
Hey, cool, man. We're talking about content. I really want to see, like, I've seen your videos. I really want to, and obviously, you know, I've seen some incredible moments where you're like flying down a mountain. There's rocks everywhere. Like, it's pretty scary. It looks really scary. And there was one video that looked like, you know, we're probably going to play it right now as we're speaking. But is it copyrighted? Can we post it on this podcast?
Yeah, we can, you want the crash or the what do you
No, I'm
want?
talking about, like, can we actually use your clips in this podcast?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I grant you permission.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's it. We need that voice recording.
Yeah, if the
Never
legal
know
team
these
goes
days.
after us, yeah.
So, I mean, I asked you, like, dude, is this fast forward? Like, you're going so fast, and people didn't, right? You told me that people didn't believe it. That
Oh yeah. Do you want from the wavy? Should we put that on?
yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
I think it's like, is that the clip you wanted to show us? Let's turn on the TV here.
Well, let's look at that one. Yeah. So this was it's from my movie Wavy that I did like way back now actually, and
Oh, bro, you're showing us clips from 10 years ago, man.
yeah,
When
back when I was rad. Back when I was
24.
rad. Here we go. Let's put this on there. LG. Oh wait.
Okay.
But it's okay. So I'll show you this one, and I think this one represents like an early Nico. Like this was kind of like when I was coming onto the scene, and this isn't even like I didn't do this on purpose, but I would just go into the mountains. All right, so not recording.
Huh?
Okay, yeah. No, I didn't like do this on purpose. Like I wouldn't go into the mountains thinking like this would be a sick video or anything, but I would just go into the mountains, and then sometimes the mountains is a lot gnarlier than you think when you look at it. Like we saw this line from the boat and we're like, oh, this is a small, chill line. We're just gonna do this to like get the trip started. And then it turns out to like not be chill at all. So I'll just play this for you here. I was pretty gripped. Hold on. I'll fast forward to the good section. And yeah, my buddy Krister went first. And Krister has a snowboard, right? So this is a very tight couloir. It's kind of like being in the barrel, actually, except the barrel is all rocks with a bit of snow at the bottom. So Krister can turn his board sideways. But then when I go into this line...
Fuck, that thing is so narrow. Look at that. I mean, there's rocks sticking out everywhere.
Right, and my skis are actually wider than the thinnest point of this thing. So I can't actually... To brake properly, you need to turn your skis all the way sideways. Like, you know, we don't have fins. We only do like braking with the side of our skis.
Wow, that thing is so narrow. And you're filming with a GoPro, which makes it look wider than it is, right?
Yeah, let's say that. I love it when people say, "Oh, it looks wider with a GoPro."
Oh my God, look at that! How fast you're going!
Oh yeah, you got to make that
That's
turn.
crazy.
You don't want to hit the wall.
How fast are you going down that thing?
Too fast. And it's funny, like you said, like we posted this video and people thought it was fast forwarded. So I had to upload like the raw GoPro clip so people could download it and like check. And it got like hundreds of downloads because people were like, no way, this can't be true.
That's cool. That's cool that people like that you have the time to engage with the community like that, you know, like that. Fuck, that clip is insane. How fast were you going down that thing?
Probably half as fast as you go in the coulee. But yeah, I want to show you this one because like what's cool about this line, this was actually the line we were aiming to do in that movie, Wavy. So Wavy, we went sailing in northern Norway, 2 weeks on an expedition with Captain Crocs, true legend in the game. And we wanted to ski this line. It's called Kvænangstindan. And this is, it's just this crazy mountain range, like black rock with this like I think the coolest thing in skiing is when you just have this crazy looking mountain and then it just looks like death, you know, just black vertical rock. And then there's like, oh, but it's possible to ski like maybe here, down there. Oh my God, this actually goes. This is a ski line. This is possible to do. And we went there in this Wavy movie, which was 2021, I think. and we climb up the mountain, and like, I was talking about the avalanche assessment before. Like, we thought it was safe, but we weren't sure. And at some point we had to turn back because I didn't have the experience, I didn't have the knowledge to sort of verify that we were actually not going to die. And we had just set off a huge avalanche like a few days earlier, so we were pretty like, we had pushed it past the edge. And at the time, I had a girlfriend, I had stuff to live for, not like today. Now I can just go, yeah. But so we turned back because I didn't have the experience and I didn't have the knowledge. And so on this trip that I'm going to show you now, we came back to the same place, and we actually kind of found the same layer structuring in the snow. But now I had acquired the knowledge, I had acquired the skill to actually be able to make a real assessment and be able to verify if it was safe or not. And so it was pretty cool because this line is like, it's a very hard line to ski. It's like a steep open face to a choke. And a choke is like a narrow place where you basically have to jump to get from the top part to the bottom part of the line. And so you're going to be, flying. You're free falling. And also when you're skiing powder in a steep slope, no matter how you do it, you're going to have an avalanche chasing you. So it's kind of like the foam ball, I guess, maybe in the barrel.
Yeah.
And what I love about couloir skiing in soft snow, it's a lot like being on a wave or like being in a barrel, because you will have this snow chasing you. And so, if you don't ski fast enough, this snow is just going to
catch up
with you, pound you, throw you into the wall, fuck you up. So you're it's a lot like surfing where you can't stop, because a lot of skiing, you can just stop wherever, you can just pull the brakes and stop. But like this kind of skiing, you have to go. So I love the sort of the combination of.
Can we play it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Like, I love the combination of like experience, knowledge, and then also like the athletic side of it. Do you want audio or do we put it on later?
I'll put it on later.
Yeah. So here we're checking the snow, and then we're
this is what you're saying. You check the snow to see if it's dangerous and different. Okay, just to see if it's stable enough, if there's going to be any avalanches, right?
Yeah.
Wow, look at this beauty, man. I mean, this is what you climb up, right? It's insane.
Yeah, I'm every time I'm on top of a run like that, I feel so grateful.
Yeah.
And I'm just so happy to be able to be in that position and to be able to like, structure my life in a way where I get to have that experience. Insane. Like I get to dedicate my winter to chasing those lines.
How does it feel walking up like a couloir like this? Like, it must be insane. Like, it's so steep. If you fall right there, you're gonna be like skiing down on your back all the way down. No,
yeah, you don't want to fall. You don't want to fall. You're like Wolverine. You got the ice axes out. You're just scratching yourself into the wall.
How nervous are you at that point? Wow.
I get pretty stoked actually.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is gonna be so sick.
But if you get me, like, it's impossible for me to. I wouldn't be able to walk something like this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you're going down right now.
So now I'm going down, and now I'm in like the top section of the line. So up here, like, I can make big turns. I have a lot of space, and you can kind of see the snow chasing me a little bit. Like, you see, every time I make a turn, you see the snow knocking loose. And here I'm coming into the crux of the line, and this is like icy and tight. So I'm hitting a little ice chunk there, and then I'm like, there you go. And then you're top speed. Wow. And from here on out, it's just like
it's more open. Wow.
So and you see the snow coming from the back there? So that's like your foam ball, basically.
Yeah. But what happens if that thing catches up on you?
You're just gonna be knocked off your feet, and you're gonna have a bad time.
Are we talking about wipeouts?
We're talking wipeouts.
Okay, that's exactly.
I think you can see.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't really.
Check out the snow coming down now.
Holy shit!
So that's like the snow, and it doesn't look too bad here, but it's actually like it's. Yeah, you're not gonna have a
pretty bad. It's a wide angle, so it looks like nothing. But yeah.
Okay, I've showed you yours. You're gonna show me mine? No, wait. I showed you mine. You're gonna show me yours?
Okay, some of the sessions I've been most stoked on over the years. Jesus, there's been a couple, man. Like, not being arrogant, but like, there's been a couple.
He's had a few good ones.
I'm super grateful, first of all, like, to have had the chance to travel to some of the best waves in the world. Have had some of the best moments of my life spent in the ocean riding waves. I mean, Nazaré, some of the biggest waves I've ever ridden the last couple of years. My first big wave at Nazaré was incredible. And then, I mean, one of the most memorable and special sessions I've ever had was out on Greenbush. I mean, Greenbush is one of the most wanted wave by surfers. Extremely dangerous, but it's incredible.
Where is Greenbush?
Greenbush is in the Mentawai Islands.
Oh,
So we ended up during COVID. We ended up being very lucky to sneak into the country.
like really,
Indonesia.
like undercover sort of
Yeah,
stuff?
we quarantined for 7 days in a hotel room in Jakarta, and we squeezed in. But once we're there, we just it was like paradise. We're out there. We got on a sailing boat, started traveling around the Mentawais. We scored some epic waves, and then we stumbled upon Greenbush on the biggest day ever recorded with no one around.
What?
Yeah, and it was just me and my buddy Nate. Nate, this absolute redneck charger from Florida. And
Redneck Charger.
yeah, bro. He's a carpenter, like, and my other buddy that's also a carpenter, not as good of a surfer as Nate, but a good surfer. And we were just out there for 2-3 days at Greenbush at like 10 to 12 foot Greenbush, and pull it up. I'll show you.
Did you just find Greenbush?
Put Greenbush Nic von Rupp, and Greenbush Nic von Rupp, and we're there.
Bloody nasty Greenbush.
Bloody nasty Greenbush. That's
Oh, I
it.
love it.
And it was this is it. Like we showed up. We're on a sailing boat. I mean, look at this wave. Like it's 10 foot shallow reefs. No one around. Very far away from any closest hospitals. And I'll put it forward.
Oh, yeah.
And this is it. Like we're
What?
surfing.
That wave looks so perfect, but gnarly.
Yeah, it's like like a couple heavy wipeouts.
Oh my god! Hey, that was me today at Crazy Left.
And then it was just us out, and like we were getting these crazy barrels, and it was so special. It's one of those magical moments where you're pushing yourself, you're getting crazy barrels with your friends. I mean, look at this wave, for instance, heavy spit. I pull in, and all of a sudden, like you think it's perfect. No, it's not perfect. It's shallow, and all of a sudden, I get eaten by this. Is my buddy Nate pulling into some massive closeouts, and Nate actually got pretty fucked up this trip. He hit his head a couple times, but he's just an incredible surfer. And this trip was really special. Obviously, the timing, being on a sailboat with a bunch of legends, no one around. The world was locked down. We just coming off like being locked down at home, and all of a sudden we're surfing the best waves ever recorded at this dreamy spot that was not so dreamy this day. And we're just grateful. And I actually ended up pulling out my orange shirt, which is like a shirt that I've been taking on a couple. I've scored incredible Kandui on this shirt, and I brought it back for Greenbush. So people knew me for this orange combo.
Yeah.
And I randomly had it with me again. Actually, it wasn't that random. I just thought it was cool to bring it.
That's like your lucky shirt
It's
for
my
like the
lucky
big
shirt, exactly.
scoring shirt.
And yeah, it was just an epic session at Greenbush. Just most memorable. I've had a lot of special sessions, like Ireland recently, Nazaré, other places, but I just feel like this one was just so special. I must have been the most hated, jealous ad guy during that time. Look at Nate just right now, like hit his heave, had a gnarly concussion, but the guy's just such a warrior.
Like on
he just
the
kept
reef?
surfing on the reef. The place is so shallow. Like the end section, it just runs. It's like a freight train, but it gets so shallow that once you hit your head. So the wave at Greenbush, it's a very heavy drop, and when you're dropping in, it looks like a closeout. It just runs so fast.
Okay.
And then the last section is the most dangerous one, where
Right here.
Yeah, like you just hit your head. But
Look at the orange shirt go.
Yeah. So yeah, this is my.
But okay, so for like a novice here, like a rookie surfer, this looks a lot more mellow than say like some of the stuff I've seen you do. Yeah, like Ireland, for example. But it looks big and like gnarly, and like I would probably die just like paddling out. But is it because the reef is so close and it's so powerful? Like what makes this so special?
First of all, like you are 24 hours away from a hospital.
Yeah. So if
or
something
more.
happens,
if something happens,
Yeah, it's like actually like being on an expedition, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the middle of nowhere. There's no medical assistance. The reef is really sharp and shallow. Like the end section is like razor blade.
Yeah.
And the waves are big, man. It's not 100 foot, but it's like you're in a barrel, and you're in a barrel until the end section that goes absolutely dry.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of risk involved. It's a very technical surfing as well.
Yeah.
To be able to take off on one of those waves that big, you got to be a really technical barrel rider. And
So you're like pumping in the barrel, like what's that, like drawing the right line? Like what, can you describe that to someone
yeah, I
like
mean,
me?
like what you want to do, and you want to take that, you want to first of all have the right board that gives you enough paddle power to be under the wave, under the ledge, to get in. And you
Yeah.
kind of want to throw yourself down. You don't want to hesitate. You want to throw yourself down.
Yeah.
Once you're on the wave, you want to, like, you almost lose balance. There's one of the waves where I'm like, commit to the wave. I almost lose balance. I almost fall backwards, but I'm able to kind of, we just saw it, to set my line, and then you're just in there trying to manage where the foam ball is, because once that foam ball catches you, you're going over. So you have to manage the speed of the wave. You have to pump in it and it's a really fast wave. And then at the end, sometimes it gets very sectiony and shallow. So it's a very technical wave to manage between the drop, the way you pull into the wave, have the right speed, not the foam ball to catch you, and then the end section where like ideally you're making it. If not, you're getting completely fucked on the reef. So
Oh my God.
yeah, it's pretty gnarly wave. And
sick.
then obviously the factor of, not being close to an hospital. But that was one of the best surfing days of my life. Yeah.
So how are you, like purely stoked while you were there? Or is it also like how scared are you
I'm
paddling into one of those?
delusional.
You're delusional, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like,
You're just like, is this even happening?
like even in this last moment I come out, I'm just like, what the hell just happened? I'm just like I'm just, what the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell just happened? I'm like, this is the best day of my life.
Yeah.
Like this is, can't believe we're here in the Mentawais.
On a freaking catamaran?
Yeah, on a catamaran with a bunch of buddies. Everyone's charging. People are still stuck at home, and we're getting barreled off our heads like no one has ever seen at this spot. Like
Crazy.
so. Yeah.
I think that's like one of the most beautiful things about like surfing and like skiing too, like compared to some other sports. It's like, it's so ephemeral. Like it's there and then it's not. Yeah. Like that day might never happen again. And you were there for it.
For sure.
And like I have the exact same feeling like on a mountain. Like a good year, maybe you have 10 epic days on the mountain. Like this year I had 2 or like 1 really, really epic day. And I know like how many experiences in your life are that rare, And there's so many things that have to align for you to be there in that moment, and for you to actually enjoy it, like for you to be able to surf Greenbush that day the way you did. And it's I think what's so cool about it, it's like it's better than winning the lottery because it's not pure chance. You're like, you put all the effort in.
Totally.
But then there's also that luck element.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'll say this too. I think like in our culture today, like I did this event in Monaco, and sorry guys, I'll just say this to you. Sorry, Monaco people. But I met all these billionaires, and I talked to them about their life, what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. And they always wanted to like buy a bunch of stuff and like buy experiences. And I think what's so cool, or like what I've experienced in life, is that like the best stuff you can't, like you really, really can't buy it because it's dependent on the effort that you put into it. And it only gets as good as the effort that you put into it. Like there's no way to buy that experience you had at Greenbush. You need like a life of surfing and dedicated to surfing. And
100%.
and I think like that's at least what I'm feeling like when I'm on top of a good line in good conditions, is that I'm like, one, I'm so grateful that I get this day with these conditions, but I'm also so grateful that I got to like live the life that led me to be in that spot where I got to like make the most out of it, like to actually ski that line well in a way that feels good and it's like safe. And I think like of all the things that I'm like grateful for about this job is like, it's like that, like being able to be in that spot and just feel like you're winning the lottery.
I think people like the lifestyle or the acknowledgement of happiness, of what really happiness means, is really changing within that kind of people as well. I mean, there's nothing like having epic experiences that will last forever. And looking back, things fly so fast, and sometimes you don't appreciate the moments you're living in. And like looking back and really being grateful of the opportunities you have and what you've done. And it's just, it's now or never, like I'm 34, you're 34 as well, right?
Yeah.
What you've accomplished over the years, and just, like moments like this might never happen again. Like I went to Mavericks one time. Actually, one of the happiest moments ever was riding at Mavericks. I really had the goal of riding a left at Mavericks. Everyone goes right at Mavericks. And I wanted to this was the early stages of my paddle big wave surfing career. I had surfed slabs, but I was just making the move into big waves. So I went from surfing slabs on a 6.6 board to a 10.0 board. So it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
So I went to Mavericks. I wanted to surf the left of Mavericks, and no one had, well, a few guys had attempted, but no one had properly succeeded. And I wanted to ride the left and get barreled on the left. And I was there for a week, tried really hard, had some really heavy wipeouts back to back. I was being coached by the best guy, Powerline Productions, Kurt. He's like the OG filmer from there that's been, there every session since the 90s, And he was kind of like, dude, you got to take off here. You got to go there. Had incredible boards with stretch. And everyone, there was so much energy behind me doing it. And like, I was there for a week, had some heavy wipeouts. Everyone was going right. And then on the last session, on my last wave, I got this wave where I just paddled in and like took this heavy line. I'm riding down the wave. I'm almost like on my tippy toes, almost falling over. And then I managed to get up and I'm in this giant Mavericks barrel.
No way.
Going left.
The first time anyone's ever done that.
Yeah, there's been a couple guys that have been close to it, but very few guys,
Oh my God.
Like Mark Healy's been close, like Nathan Fletcher back in the day as well. Like,
No way. He was charging big waves?
Not Nathan. Yeah, Nathan Fletcher. Yeah.
He was the air guy?
Yeah. He was charging some massive waves. So all of a sudden, I'm just sitting in this round cavern,
Oh my God.
And that was one of the happiest moments of my life. I come out, I got this. When I'm really stoked, there's a couple moments in my career where I like lift my arms up into the air, and I go like this, and this is like, that's my connection with God. Like, I'm in the clouds. And that was one of the moments. I couldn't believe it. It was one of the happiest moments. It was my breakthrough in big wave surfing and at Mavericks, like the most iconic big wave in the world, like going left, applying slab surfing to big wave surfing. That was my goal. And that goal was accomplished with that wave, So,
and especially like you being there for a whole week and just being wiped out like that.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Bro, it was like such a testament of whenever you have something in mind and you work for it, eventually all the energy will come together to that moment, to the apex of making it happen, And I really believe in that. I believe in hard work. I believe in being persistent and believing in your dreams, and eventually it will happen. And that was just a moment for that.
For sure. Yeah. So just before we move anywhere, was this where you had Rob Machado?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm in the seat of a legend here.
Yeah, bro. I was fucking...
Were you starstruck?
Man. I was nervous with Rob, man. He's my childhood hero, bro. Like, I'm sitting with my childhood hero.
Oh my God.
And he's asking me questions.
Oh man. He seems like a nice guy.
Bro, he's such a legend. Rob is such a fucking sweetheart, man. That guy deserves all the success he's ever had, man. Like, he's such an icon, man. Like,
And he makes great boards. I was on his board today.
Yeah, you were, huh?
Yeah. Oh,
Talk about that
thing
session
goes.
this morning. I mean, we're not going to be able to see it right now, but we will put it on the podcast. We had a great session this morning. You were shredding.
2 great sessions.
The 2 sessions we had, there was a lot of people asking me like, fuck, this guy's really going for it. I'm like, dude,
really?
You have no idea.
No?
I swear.
I was getting
How did it feel?
pounded.
How did it feel? Because, I mean, the feeling that you do something crazy and then you see it on video and it's not as great as you thought.
Yeah.
How did it feel, bro?
Dude, it felt really good. And I got to say, you gave me the VIP treatment out there. I felt I was with like, because you were just, let's just paddle to the top of the lineup. I know all these kids, no problem. I'm like, okay, I'll just follow you. And you're like, take this wave, take that wave. So I just, thank you. You've been so generous with your time, and I had such a good time. No, it honestly, it felt really good. Like the crazy left one, I got one of those waves. It just, so much power and just kept going. And I felt like I'm just kind of like barely hanging on. And I'm so bad at surfing that I'm just like at the very edge of my abilities. And it's so much fun. And to watch you go, like that one you got where you're doing like 2 or 3 hacks and then the big air at the end. It's like
What's the thing about surfing?
It's like being in the surf movie.
What's the thing about surfing? Like, what captivates you about surfing? Because you're such a good skier, and to go over to surfing, and obviously you're not as good as a surfer.
You can say I'm not a good surfer. It's okay. We don't have to lie on the podcast. We can be truthful. I mean, the audience must know.
Like starting from scratch, you're pretty much starting from scratch compared to skiing, obviously. Like you're good, you're athletic. So you pick up fast, like whenever you're on your board, you know what to do. But you're still like the whole paddling, like what's the thing that really captivates you and makes you comfortable to look like a kook. You understand what I mean?
Yeah. No, and I think honestly,
even though you're so good at,
no,
what I mean?
for sure. And like, I mean, a huge part of it is that I am a kook, and I love that. Like, I think you probably have the same thing with surfing. Like it's your job, it's your career, and you do it all the time, and you're obviously super good at it. And you get to a place where, honestly, in skiing, like you get to a place where if you want to push it more, it's just so dangerous. It's so dangerous and it's so committing, and you need the perfect conditions for it. So like most days that I go skiing, kind of like probably when you're surfing with me today, like you're not going to push it. Like there's not, of course you could like maybe push your air game or whatever, but like you're not pushing the limit of your surfing. And I think that with skiing, you get to a point where I dedicate my whole winter to it, and my whole life revolves around it. And there's just quite a lot of pressure involved too. Like I want to perform, I am an athlete, and I do enjoy that, pushing my abilities. And so it's so nice to do something that I just really suck at. And like I will never be a pro surfer. And also, I mean, anyone who surfs, the feeling. It's so good. It's like, honestly, I wouldn't say it's the best thing in the world, because like skiing powder is also really good, but it's like up there with skiing powder. Like it's freaking amazing to be on a wave.
The thing about surfing, it only gets better.
Yeah.
Like it's so rough these times when you haven't surfed in so long, and you said you surf 20 days a year, I mean, like once your muscles start getting used to surfing, and you start catching more waves, and you start like, really understanding how the board works and how you like do turns and stuff like that, and getting barreled, like,
oh my God,
it's just like, it just gets better and better. You know, you understand? So
but that's the thing. Like I've come out of a barrel 3 times in my life, tiny barrels, squeezed through them. And that was such a crazy feeling. It's like insane to be surrounded by water and to actually be able to do it. I came out, the best one I ever got was actually at Unstad in Lofoten, the left there. I was in there, and my buddy saw it from the other side of the beach, and I could hear him yelling like, and the guys that were yelling, I was yelling. And it just felt like it wasn't real almost, because I was like, did that just happen? Kind of thing. And it's funny because this is like the tiniest little barrel, and it probably felt to me like you're coming out of Greenbush. You're like, fuck yeah. And I was like, fuck yeah. And I think that's the thing. Like, I think that's what's cool about doing something that you're not good at. It's like you just lower the threshold of what's cool, And I think that's like coming here. Like I came here after my skiing season. Like I had a big winter, and it just feels so good to go somewhere and do something purely for the pleasure of it. I think that's huge for me. I don't know, like, what do you do? Like, what do you do when you want to like take your mind off surfing? Or, like, do you ever take your mind off surfing?
Like, I surf. I surf. Like, yeah. I never have off season, but there's big wave surfing and then there's normal wave surfing. So whenever I'm not riding big waves, I'm surfing small waves.
Yeah.
And for me, surfing is a mental health. There's such a mental health aspect to surfing. Being in the ocean, riding waves that are a creation of nature, that's the end of the life. So I really believe like all that, being in contact with the ocean, being in contact with nature, practicing sports, surrounded by friends, surrounded by a healthy environment. It's very head cleansing, and I need that in my life, on a daily basis. So, I mean, I love tennis. I play tennis. I try to jump in the water every day, something I need in my life. I love to go snowboarding. Also have a lot of fun doing that. And just traveling, I mean, but I surf. Like mostly when I go on vacations, I go on surf vacations. But I just don't, like I take a time from big wave surfing because it's so intense. Like our season starts in September, October, and goes all the way till March. Like to give you a comparison, big wave surfers in Hawaii, maybe they surf big waves 5 to 10 times a year.
Oh, really?
We in Nazaré, we surf big waves maybe 20 times a month.
20 times a month?
A month.
A month?
A month. No. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
wow, that's super consistent.
Like waves over 20 foot, we surf a lot of big waves, and that time 6 months a year. I mean, we're talking about, like 120 days, 1,200 days or something like that,
Yeah.
So is that the math?
20 days a month. How many months?
So we're talking about 6 months a year.
20 times 6. Quick math. This is like some action sports maths.
Yeah, 120 days. Yeah, exactly. 120. That's right.
Quick maths over here. So that's why I went to law school. No engineering.
So yeah, I mean, it's 120 days, versus 10 days a year, so it's really draining. You get at the end of the season, you're exhausted. If you're not injured, you're lucky. Like I always finished with an injury at the end of the season.
But that's kind of crazy because that's probably as much as I ski. Like a good ski season is like 120, 150 days.
Okay.
Like you don't actually ski more days than that.
Okay.
And and if you're actually surfing big waves all of those days, like you're committed, you're going like probably only like 30 days of the skiing that I do, because like you need the proper conditions are in like properly big mountains. So that's heavy. Like you need a pat on the shoulder and like your sponsors pay you well because you're working.
Jesus.
Did
you hear that? Hey, let's go. We're talking about wipeouts. I've had some heavy wipeouts over the years. I mean, show us your heaviest wipeout, something that you really thought like, holy shit, I'm going to die.
I'll show you a recent wipeout, but I'll also just note that the surfer's vacation from surfing is surfing, and the skier's vacation from skiing is surfing. So I think we've established the pecking order of awesomeness here. We can all agree surfing's better.
I mean, there's a great lifestyle to surfing, obviously also in the mountains, the lifestyle of climbing up the mountains, but it's quite exhaustive, like if you're skiing, snowboarding, like, I mean, it's heavy, like it gets to a point where it's like, it hurts your legs. And I think surfing, there's always the lifestyle of, just hanging on the beach, which, seeing some pretty girls, jumping in the water, like, especially for a single guy like you. Shout out to Nico right here.
Wow, let's hope I'm still single when this thing comes out. What's your
the guy put his best Norwegian pants,
What's your age? Like, what's your gender split on the channel? Like, mine is like 97% dudes.
97%. Oh, we got to change that, dude. So I still got like 30% women. So,
what? Really? Yeah. Damn, this is the face. It's the face and the hair. Jesus. The face and the hair, the combo.
I tell you what, every time I post a picture with my girlfriend, I lose hundreds of followers.
You're just breaking hearts there.
Bro.
You are breaking hearts with every post of your girlfriend.
Jesus, it's like...
Imagine, around the world, like, thousands of hearts.
It's weird.
Shattering. Oh.
A lot of, especially women, like I check out the stats and like a lot of girls just stop following me, like it's...
I would stop following, but my heart would be broken, if I was a chick following you, post all those pretty girl photos of your girlfriend. It's interesting. I think that's pretty cool, actually. And I see that here. There are a lot of ripping girls. There are a lot of girls in the water who are really going for it. But it's interesting too, because there's a ton of girl skiers too. I guess they just don't watch YouTube as much.
But I tell you what, there's a lot of ripping girls, man. And a big shout out to the women that surf big waves.
Yeah.
Or just surf in general, because surfing, like putting on a wetsuit, going on in the cold water, getting pounded by waves, especially big waves. I mean, girls like Justine Dupont, Michelle Debouillon, Maya Gabeira. I mean, those girls are charging. They're out there. They're riding huge waves.
They're out in Nazaré with you guys?
Side by side with the big man.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it's insane, like there is no segregation of gender when it comes down to big wave surfing. They're pushing it as hard as we are.
That's sick.
And that's pretty sick, it's hats off to them.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of balls they have, but it's...
they got some big ones. Eternal ones. They got ovaries. They got other stuff going on.
Yeah, other stuff going on.
But yeah, so this one, Crash, it's from a video. It's going to come out this fall. It's the pinnacle of skiing.
Oh, Jesus, are we promoting? Are we in promotion mode right
you guys
now?
Gonna have to like and follow, subscribe. No, but it's so it's actually it's like a literal pinnacle that we ski, like a spire, like a rock spire. And I've looked at this thing for so many years. Like I wanted to ski this thing. It's kind of like the first time you saw Nazaré and you're like, this thing is too crazy. Or maybe you didn't think that when you were 14. You're like, what about these old dudes who are like...
No, it was crazy, man. Like I remember first time I showed up in Nazaré, I was like on the ski looking at the big waves and I was like, holy shit, how the fuck am I going to surf these waves? This is massive.
Yeah.
And I was a grown man back then, like I had surfed some big waves around the world and I was just there in Nazaré looking at those waves and these things are mountains, man. So
the feeling, and I had that feeling looking at this line because it just looked too crazy, it looked too steep, too exposed, like too technical to do, and it took me years to like step up to it. And like the first time I wanted to step up to it, we were too like the crew was too big, and like only my friends got to ride it. And then like it took 4 more years. So like this winter was the first time I was there with good conditions, and I was gonna ski it. And I lined up this cliff, called it the Big Boy Cliff, pretty big. And you'll
big boy Nico Cliff,
big boy Nico Cliff coming in hot, and you'll see my exit here. I was actually supposed to go out to the right by that other rock on the right side there, and I kind of like got bucked, kind of like when you hit the chop on the wave or something, you end up somewhere you don't want to be, and all of a sudden, because I was gonna hit like the smaller section of the cliff, but now I got bucked over to the biggest section, and now I'm like in the fall line, and I'm like, and at this point it's so steep you can't really stop with the speed I have. So I was like, I'm just committed, and you'll see me like going over the like. Let's just watch this here. You'll see what happens.
Oh, selfie mode.
Selfie mode. Oh, there we go. There we
Okay,
go.
here we go.
Okay, there we go.
Slash. Boom.
Boom.
Rocks.
Oh, biggest section of the cliff. Boom, and I wasn't able to put it down, and tomahawking in like every tomahawk, you're just kind of like because you can like break everything in your body every time you hit the ground. I did one of those tomahawks one year. I broke my face. I broke my hand in 3 places. I tore my Achilles tendon. So I did like, top to bottom fractures, and I was like hellied out of there. But this one, I was luckily 100% okay. And the gnarly thing too is like my buddy, he was standing up top. Jakob Wester, shout out to you. Also actually a pretty good surfer, or way better surfer than me, but a skier, like one of my heroes growing up. And he was standing on top, and like he had to drop after me. But if you want to see that, you're going to have to watch the full video coming this fall. But yeah, and I think it's probably different to like a wipeout because you're not underwater.
Are you breathing through that moment? Are
you're breathing as you're crashing. But then what happens, like, and this isn't in this clip, but what happens after is you have the slough. You have the little avalanche that chases you down. So like after these tomahawks, we call them a tomahawk, like a tomahawk flying through the air. And after the tomahawks, then you end up in the slough. And then I wasn't breathing for a while because you're just in the snow. And at that point, you don't know if you're in an avalanche or if it's just like a tiny slough, like we call it, a slough thing. So you're just kind of breathing. I'm like, am I okay? And then I came out and I was fine.
How does it, I mean, yeah, insane. How long do these tomahawks go for? Like what stops you? If it's steep like that, like you can go on and on and on until the end. I mean,
dude, you can go down the entire mountain. My friends used to make fun of me. I had this thing, I call it the theory of falling snow, which is the scientific explanation for why when you're crashing down a mountain, you're most likely you're going to be fine. And the reason is because you're on the mountain, it's been snowing all winter, so you're falling down the mountain. But before you're falling down the mountain, snow has fallen down the mountain and it's landed on anything that is hard, any rocks. So when you see a rock in a video like this, you can see some rocks, it's because it's vertical. So like you can actually like have to be very unlucky.
You're skidding off.
You could potentially skid off the rock, but you're not going to hit it. And my brother actually fell down. Like this mountain is maybe, how long? This is not a very long line. It's maybe like 200 vertical meters. My brother fell down a line that's like 4 times as big. And he fell down. I told you that one. Yeah. He fell down the entire thing. We can like put that up here and we can cut that in. And he fell for a full minute. Down the whole entire thing. And I was filming him with my phone when it was going down. And I was filming on my phone, and he's my baby bro, you know, he's my little brother. And here's like falling down the mountain. And at one point while he was falling, I was just like, I gotta stop filming because like my mom will kill me if I filmed her little baby boy die. That's my brother. But put the phone away.
YouTube. That's the brotherly Nico speaking in your head. But on the other side, the YouTuber sensationalist Nico Schirmer just kept on. Dude, filming.
We got 1 million views. We got We got on Arabian CNN with ski content. Imagine that. God. Yeah. So you can follow a long way, but. I don't know. Most likely you're going to be fine. Like I said, it's a very scientific theory. It's called the theory of falling snow. You can quote me on that. Next time you're on top of a line and your buddies are like saying it's dangerous, you can say, Nico says, most likely you're going to be fine. And this is the subjective risk of falling. Don't mess with avalanches, but mess with skiing. You know, it's fun to push yourself. Show me your wipeout here.
Jesus. I mean, I had a pretty bad wipeout in Ireland a couple weeks ago.
A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, put it up on if you put it up on YouTube, it was pretty crazy. I mean, Mullaghmore is one of the most dangerous waves in the world. It's one of the best, most gnarly. It's like a freight train, but it's a freight train slab, big wave spot, you know? So we had been surfing. We had been surfing Mullaghmore for. Let's put it on. No, that's not the one. Let me go back.
Mullaghmore. Get you excited to get on the Ryanair flight. How bad does Ryanair rape you for bringing board bags?
They rate me for my bags.
For your bags.
That's where they're really bad. Okay, so is it the first wave of the video?
Oh my God.
Huh? Okay.
That looked insane.
Okay.
Like this to me looks gnarlier than Greenbush.
Okay, so paddling into this, I'm pulling up. I'm like on the wave of my life, and all of a sudden I pulled the line too high and I went over. I got super pounded on that one. Like we're riding through low tide at this spot, which is where the wave is the best, but the most dangerous. So there's basically reefs sticking out. And so the day before, one of the gnarly charges, Noah Lane, had surfed this break, and he hit his head on the reef in the same spot I fell, and he got like open head, concussion, broke his coccyx. You know, yeah, I got like, 20 stitches on his head, like super gnarly. So here you see it again, like I'm dropping down, I pull in, and I pulled in too high and I fell. I mean, that wipeout was super gnarly, super violent, and it was always on the back of my head, like, fuck, I'm dead, you know?
Yeah.
So this is like...
What was it like underwater? Like you
Yeah,
get
I hit the reef like instantly, bam, super
No way.
hard on my back. But I was okay. Like it wasn't, I didn't hit it with my head. If I would have hit it with my head, I would have been worse. So it's like borderline suicidal to be riding this break. But the waves were just so good, and you can get the wave of your life. And that's what happened, you know, like I got that heavy wipeout. I was out there, and like you just, when you have a heavy wipeouts and you survive, you just get this, like superhero, like, fuck, I'm invincible, you know? And this wave right here was the wave I got like 12 minutes later.
What? You just
like,
paddled right out?
I just paddled right back out. There's another bomb that came through. I was in the right spot, and I just went for it, and I got like a crazy,
Looks so gnarly.
crazy barrel, which was one of the best waves of my life. And that's what it takes, you know? Like, I feel like here you see it again. Like, I'm exactly the same line as before, but I didn't pull up as high.
Yeah.
But there I pulled up as high. I got super risky, but that's also what made me make the wave. And that
you need to pull up to accelerate, or you need to pull up to get the speed?
To get the speed, the higher you ride. But here you see the moment where I'm just arms up to the sky. I'm like, holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
I made it. But yeah, I mean, that moment where I'm just wiping out is so brutal, you know, like
So you're smashed against the reef, and then you just lay there, or you like pull in?
Yeah, you just like pull your vest, try to come up the surface as fast as possible. It's super on these slabs. It's just super brutal. So you're just getting ripped apart in every sense. And eventually you make it up. And if you're fine, you're happy that you're fine. You just, basically dodge the bullet, you know, like you're like, there's a big chance. I would say there's a 90% chance that you get really hurt on a
Really?
wave. Yeah.
90%?
I mean, like, look at that, you know, like pulling up, like
Oh
it's
my
so
God.
shallow in there. You're going like all that force of water is drawing you into the reef, and especially with the heavy wipeout on the day before of Noah's, something that really fucks with your mind. And
I can imagine.
but it's like getting a wave like this afterwards just makes it worth it, you know, like your levels of stoked are just super, super high.
So talk to me about the helmet situation. Because like I wear a helmet, I wear, like when I skied Moore Park, I would like get the protective piece of gear for whatever I injured. So at one point I had like the hip, the back, the everything. I would even wear like a mouth guard at one point. Now I'm just in a helmet. But yeah, what's in
Look,
surfing?
it's very sad to say that I don't wear a helmet.
Is it sad, or is that like most people don't wear the helmet? No, or
Yeah, I mean, there's so many concussions these days in the sport, and concussion, I mean, you can fix an arm, you can fix a leg, but you can't fix a brain, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stories in surfing, people that had really gnarly concussions, and, you know, my friend Albi, Nacho Gonzalez, eventually catches up on you and you get really gnarly concussions. And, you know, like your brain, it's really hard to recover. I should be using a helmet because, you know, all those impacts when you fall, the board hitting your head, I mean, that has long life repercussions. Every year I tell myself I'm going to wear a helmet, but it ends up, you know, when the day comes, there is no helmet, you know? I've used the helmet a couple times, and I also felt like, you know, every time I fall, you know, the impact is a lot harder, you know, because it doesn't absorb.
Yeah.
The helmets are like skidding rocks. So I haven't had the right helmet, I would say, but I really would like to start using one in the future.
This isn't even a plug, but one of my friends actually made like a helmet which is like a soft, like a surfing helmet, because he had a concussion.
Yeah.
And he made a. I'll have him send you one. You can just
Nice.
try it out. But it's like a soft one, and it gets hard. It's like the knee pads for bikes.
Cool.
So it gets hard with impact. I don't know if the water would be hard enough. Probably the reef.
Yeah. But
But
does
because
it react that fast? Because like the impacts in surfing are so fast.
Yeah,
that-
it's like instant, because I have them for knee pads for my mountain biking, and it's the same thing. It's like instantly gets hard, but it's interesting because in skiing the helmets, like I've used helmets because my mom was like, use a helmet when I was a kid. But actually in skiing it's more comfortable because like it keeps your goggles where they want to be. It's ventilated. It's sometimes warmer. And if you crash without a helmet, your goggles are flying, your beanie is flying, everything is flying, and it's just a shit show. With a helmet, everything is kind of like kept in place. But I can totally understand in surfing because it's like water coming off it, and yeah, it's like a different situation. And also, you say like you're skidding.
You're skidding, like you feel like you're skidding. Like every time I used the helmet, and I used it a couple times actually this season, and when I fell. I had these really bad whiplashes on my neck, which, But I mean, the future in surfing is helmets, man. I mean, like, there is no way the next generation are going to be doing what we are doing without a helmet, you know, because at the end of the day, we want to ride the biggest waves of our lives. We want to push ourselves, but we still want to be here to have a decent conversation with Nico Schirmer or my future son that's still in the making. You know?
Yeah. You're trying to make him every night.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, you know, bonus, you can call the new generation big wusses because you're like, I did that shit without a helmet.
Oh, bro. No, they're going to be the smart ones. And
I was going to say pussy, but I can't say that because Americans might watch it. We're going to have to get bleeped.
Dude, so one question I wanted to ask before and I didn't ask it. Is fear in your mind when you're climbing up a mountain? And how do you deal with it? Like how do you deal with fear when you're going skiing the biggest line of your life, you know?
Yeah, so there's like a fear is huge. For sure. When I get really scared, like on top of a line, like I'll know that I'm scared, or like a big hit, like if I'm gonna hit a big cliff or like do a trick or something, I'll feel my mouth will go dry. And I talked to like my doctor friend about it, and it says because your adrenaline starts pumping, like my mouth will go dry, and then I'll like have to like I do like breathing exercises. So I'll like breathe slowly, and so there's like a few different. Let's take like skiing the line from the top, doing the hit. So I'll be feeling all the feelings of fear, and of course there's such a huge part of me that doesn't want to do it because it's so freaking scary and you can hurt yourself in so many ways. But then obviously like there's a bigger part of me that wants to do it. And so what I do to like overcome my fear in the situation is that I need to know that I can do it. Like I never do anything where I'm not 100% sure that I have the ability to pull it off. And it could be at like the edge of the ability. It can even be a little bit past it, but I know that if I do everything right, I can do this.
It's called risk assessment.
Risk assessment. Yeah, for sure. And that's I deal with that, and I love that. I really love being in a situation where I'm scared and then overcoming my fears and doing it and like performing. And as I said before, even if it fails, most of the time you're going to be fine. That part of fear I love. What I hate is more of the like avalanche, like the shark fear. And you have a lot of the shark fear in skiing.
So shark fear, what are sharks?
Sharks are, I mean, you have the rock sharks, but also just avalanche. More of the like the fear of something that you can't control. You make the assessment, you hike up, and you think it's safe, but you spend hours in a potentially deadly situation, and you just, it's always in the back of my head that this whole thing, I'm on a big mountain face, it could rip. You're never 100% sure. And that fear gets to me. And part of like why I love to come here to surf at the end of the season or go somewhere else is just, you're kind of like shell shocked. You've just been in the constant state of fear for so long, like for months, you know, you've been, hey dog. And it's just nice to like get out of that headspace and just not be scared for your life, basically.
Do you ever fear, is there any situation where you're like, fuck, you feel like you might die doing what you're doing? Like, is that ever in your back of your head?
Every time I go out, you can die every time. Like, and if you make a wrong decision with the avalanches, you might very likely die. And I'm also very aware that I'm in that little segment of skiers who might very possibly die because of what I do. And I actually had this like old snowboarder, like a snowboarding legend. I'll say his name. His name is Jarkko Juhani Hentonen. At one point, like 10 years ago, he started he started messaging my buddies, and he was like, you know, this Nico guy, I'm getting the bad vibes. And he was comparing me to the Swedish skier who just died in an avalanche. And he was saying, I'm getting the Andreas Fransson vibes. Yeah, so Jarkko is messaging my buddies, and he's saying, like, I'm getting these vibes of this Fransson guy. And he's saying, I give Nico 5 years. He's going to die within 5 years. And this is this Finnish snowboarder from the woods of Finland, you know, he's a very like mysterious character, almost like a guru in the sport, you know. He's like, did some of the first gnarly descents in Verbier and these places. And I felt cursed. I was like, this guy cursed me. This is the curse of Jarkko. I have 5 years as a skier. And every year that I survived the winter, I was like, hell yeah, I beat the curse another year. And after 5 years, 2020, I beat the curse fully, and I was alive, and I was like, I'm blessed. I am the blessed one. I beat the curse. And yes, I think about it, and I'm definitely like toning down my risk. Like, I'm getting older, smarter. I think you can minimize the risk a lot with experience and smart choices, and I try to do that a lot. But it's definitely in the back of my head. And like, I mean, we talked about it in the car earlier. Like, I'm not sure I would do this kind of stuff if I had children. Like, I haven't started a family yet. I think I want to have a family. Like, that's one of the things I want to do in my life. I want to have a little kid, take the kid skiing, you know, have a good time, go surfing with the kid. And I don't think I would do what I do exactly the way that I do it now if I had kids, for sure. So,
you know what do you say to that? All the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies.
Oh, yeah.
Put your hands up.
Yeah, just put my number in the description.
Bro, you don't need to. You go on Instagram, Nico Schirmer. I mean, come on.
No,
man.
it's fine. But
I had that exact same thing.
Right?
So
What's your vibe with the risk? I
So,
mean, it seems
dude, like,
so scary.
I've always dealt with fear being present in my life on a constant basis from the first steps I took in surfing, being afraid of the ocean and just moving forward, regardless. You know, like it's just like I was taught to face my fears, and that's the way. And when you're taught something at a young age, that's how you deal with it.
Yeah.
So in a lot of times in my life, I felt, you know, fear being a barrier, you know, and not letting me through. And I really had to take a deep breath and take that small step forward of putting on a wetsuit, getting into the water. And once you take those small steps, you are very likely that you will overcome your fear. And that's how I've evolved in, you know, being afraid from small waves of the ocean to riding some of the biggest waves in the world. You know, there's just constant fear factor. There's one swell this season where it's like the biggest swell ever seen, you know, like we ride big waves in Nazaré. And usually when we ride big waves, we're talking about 4 meters at 16 seconds. You know, those are some of the biggest waves in the world. And this year we had swells at 8 meters at 16 seconds. You know, it's like, holy...
Twice the size?
Twice the size.
Yeah.
We're like, holy fuck, what's this? You know, is this a tsunami? Like I've had such heavy wipeouts. I've seen friends of mine nearly die on smaller conditions. Like, what is this? You know, like...
You see this forecast and you're
like... Yeah,
this
you're
is
just
coming.
like... And there's one moment where like, it was one of the few moments in my life where I felt really sick one night. I just got really sick one night and started puking. You know, like all these emotions were coming up. You know, I'm living a great phase of my life. I'm, you know, engaged to my wife. You know, like
Congrats.
I have all my...
You got a lovely... Yeah.
You know, like... And it was just like, fuck. Like, is it even worth it? You know, like... You know, like it was really like, it was the only time in my career where I really felt like, obviously you feel fear like throughout the weeks before and like all the hype, the media talking about it. And all of a sudden, you know, I just created this team to ride the biggest wave in the world and Mountains of the Sea. And then all of a sudden the biggest swell ever, stormy, gnarly, windy, big, arrives and you're like, fuck man, is this it? You know, is this the last time I'm going to survive? And then at the same time, I kind of felt like I was cursed at the start of the season. I felt like I like hit my head on the sand at Nazaré, the start of the season, had this massive, you know, boil on my head. I got a fin to the ass.
To the ass?
To the ass.
Not the ass.
The ass.
Oh my God.
Hole.
The asshole. Oh my God. That's not where you want to put the fin.
Bro, it was like, you know, like it was deep. It almost went through the tunnel.
Oh my God. Yeah, through
like,
the wetsuit?
Bro, through the wetsuit, like I got like 5 stitches
in your asshole,
like just next to it.
Oh,
you know,
that's a close call. That's a close
call. I mean, close to my artery. Like,
yeah,
I was my physiotherapist and my doctor at the time said like that's a very critical. That could have ruined your life for the rest of your life. Walking with a bag for the rest of your life. You know, not being able to control yourself. So, and then I broke my tooth.
No.
Yeah, I like hit my face, broke my tooth as well before, and my girlfriend has this shaman guru, and I went and saw him, and he was like, "Hey Nick, maybe this is a sign. You need to calm the fuck down. Like this is a sign." And it started getting into my head, and this was a couple of days before the biggest swell ever. So when I really got in this mode, like, fuck, is this it? Is this like, are these too many signs? Like, am I gonna die if I go out there? So the first time I really like thought about like, fuck, like life is really giving me signs. But I told the guy like, fuck, man. I mean, I can't at this point. I can't pull out. Like I just gotta go and wish for the best. And if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. And we ended up going out there. I ended up riding some of the best waves of my life, the biggest waves of my life, bro. And it was just magic. I just felt like so connected to the ocean. It was the best swell of my life. I felt so connected to my team. I felt so connected to the ocean. Like we were the only team out there riding the biggest waves ever, we made it happen, and that was the turning page to my curse, and
you beat it. Yeah.
We beat it.
Did you get in like the flow, and did you forget the fear like once you were going?
I was pretty like, you just fucking man up and do it, like you just do it. You analyze the risk, you do the risk assessment. Can I do this?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Yeah. But it's all those small steps. The port was closed. You shouldn't supposed to go out. And we still went to see it. And we're out there looking at the conditions. And we're like, at the start, it's like, I can't do this. When you look from the outside, it looks too messy. But you leave your house, you go towards that direction, you put your wetsuit on, you get into the jet ski, you get the jet ski out there, you get your team together, you put yourself in a position to do it.
Yeah.
And then once you're out there, you make the assessment. Can I do this?
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah.
And you do it.
I love that. and like to someone who doesn't know Nazare like intimately, like an 8-foot swell, like how 8-meter swell, how big is that in like feet? Like once it hits
Bro, like you look at some of the photos, and I mean we can pull up some photos right now shot by the legend Helio Antonio, bro. Like it's 100-foot waves, man.
It's 100-foot wave.
Bro, it's like God. Close to 100 foot. Like record. We're talking about. I mean, Sebastian Steutner broke the record, the Guinness World Record for the biggest wave ever ridden at let's say 5-meter swell,
What?
At 16 seconds. I rode the biggest wave of the year in 2023 at a 3.8-meter swell.
No way.
And then
this is twice the size.
Bro, it's like we're riding some of the biggest waves. I mean, like it.
Do you have some footage? Can I see this? Is this the video that says the biggest Nazare? I think maybe I've seen this.
Yeah, I think we've seen it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know. Should we put it on?
Yeah, let's put it on. And I think like while I put it on, I think it's really interesting actually because in Nazare biggest wave surfed. What? Nic von Froth. The biggest wave on Earth one?
No.
Biggest wave in years.
That's the second one. That's exactly that second one. You can put that one on.
Because
it's edited by our man Enrique Castanheira.
Oh yes,
so this is me shitting my pants, talking to the camera. Yeah. But already like wetsuit on, war mode. Let's fucking do this. We've been training really hard for this moment. We built a team. We spent a ton of money.
Yeah,
we got all the support of the world. If there's someone that can do it, it's us. So.
Yeah, you had everything lined up.
Yeah, this is Ali right there. This is Aroldu, our second rescue, and then we got Caio on the cliff also talking to us. So I mean, what people don't realize, people see these people riding these huge waves, but they don't realize like there's a whole team behind. We're like a small Formula One, a low budget Formula One team, We got Caio on the cliff, we got 2 rescues picking us up, and we have our main driver, which was Tocardoso for this swell, and then all the cameramans and stuff. Here we're having a little prayer, just, really praying, We're praying.
Yeah, for
we're
success.
Connecting with the ocean and really like, fuck, okay guys, we are gonna take it. I don't know what I said, but like it's basically like, guys, we're gonna take it slow. We're gonna see if it's possible. If it's possible, we do it. But most of all, safety first. That's kind of what we say every time. Really connecting to the ocean and
how would you? So like in skiing, turning around is like huge. Like being able to turn around when you see the danger signs. Like did you know? Like at what point would you have turned back? Like.
Sure. I mean, for me, like there's no ego.
Yeah.
Like, I really try to listen to my instinct and see if my instinct says yes or no.
Yeah.
And a lot of times saying, when you're out there and you just don't feel it, you don't feel it.
Yeah.
You just don't go, because when you don't feel it, that's when accidents happen,
Yeah.
You want to have that warm feeling like this is my wave and not hesitate, just go. But for me, rule number one is being out there. So as you see, like it was huge and stormy, like
pretty messy.
It was super messy, which also brought like a scary factor to it.
Oh, is that you on the back?
Yeah, that's me in the back.
You're just
flying around and
holy shit! It's like tubing almost.
Yeah, it was massive, and we were riding. This is what we were riding. Look how bumpy that is. You know, like there's
dude,
massive,
you're like skipping. It's like skiing a mogul course.
We're like.
And this is what you talked about with the board. You have the stiff tail, soft nose.
Exactly, like super stiff in the back. So this was the wave I caught. Everyone was going right, surfing right, and we were the first ones going left on this big day, So, I mean, at this point, I'm like, I don't want to be too close, because if I fall on a wave like this, I'm going to end up on the rocks,
Yeah.
Like this is me like trying to hold on to my 11-foot board. And what's interesting about these waves is usually when you see Nazaré, you see the people on the cliff.
Yeah.
Like here, you only see the tip. So see how far, like you see the tip of the people. See that on the left-hand corner there?
Yeah.
You see the tip of the people on the cliff. And
because it's so big, so far out.
Because it's so far out, usually you see like the full, and that gives you a perspective how far out, how big the waves were, how big, and that was like my first wave of that day. You see two guys following me. And this is me like tall. We were like, fuck, I just rode one of the biggest waves of my life. And the stoke is just real, you're just like, fuck. And it's like 2 days later, it was not only one swell, it was two swells. This was 2 days later. We had like one of the windiest days ever. One thing I want to say, like, so on these huge days, you don't want to surf all day. Like you want to minimize your risk. You want to, wait for the bomb, but then, kind of also retract. Know when to retract.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. You caught 3 waves, two lefts and a right, and I just called it a day. And this was 2 days later. So this day, like everyone was like saying it was going to be unsurfable because it was really, really windy. But we headed out there and just kind of just,
Dude,
I didn't want to surf.
Look at that thing.
I honestly didn't want to surf.
Yeah.
Because it was just too windy, too big, too risky. And but then I just kind of said, you know what?
Shit.
Fuck it. Let's just go,
Yeah.
And look at the amount of people that are on the cliff on that thing,
Dude,
It's just,
you have like at least 100 iPhone angles of that wave happening. Dude.
And yeah,
that thing is massive.
But look how bumpy it is, Like you're riding down and the thing is just skidding out, like you're losing speed, you're hitting bumps. Yeah. But at this point when you ride a wave, you're just like, you know what? Fuck, let's fucking do this. Your adrenaline is like I say I don't do this for ego.
Yeah.
But when you're out there and like you're catching the waves, you just feel like the fucking man.
You feel like the shit, yeah.
Like, and this was one of my last waves, like I was just jumping over the bumps, you see my board and my fins just skidding out.
Yeah.
And it's just.
But you get into like when I ski my line, like all the fear kind of happens before I start skiing, and when I'm skiing, I'm kind of just like in the moment. Like, is it like that with the wave? Like
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You're 100% like focused. Like
yeah.
You
get the flow state kind of happening.
So yeah, I mean, this was the biggest swell, some of the biggest swells I've ever ridden, some of the biggest waves I've ever ridden. And it was definitely the most challenging conditions I've ever had in my life. I mean, we're the only people surfing, like all the surfers were watching from the outside, and they came in afterwards. But yeah, I don't know, like it was just super gnarly, and we were able to ride this because we created Mountains of the Sea, and that's what Mountains of the Sea was created for moments like this where you just get the whole team together and everyone's working for the same goal of riding the biggest waves in the world.
Yeah, and that's your team is called Mountains of the Sea.
Yeah, it's called Mountains of the Sea, bro.
Fuck yeah, I love mountains too.
It feels like, bro, it like once you're out there, it feels like mountains of the sea. Like it feels like mountains are coming into your direction. You know that feeling when you're looking up to a mountain, it's like, holy shit,
yeah,
this
it's
thing
huge.
is so high.
Yeah.
that's a feeling you have, you know, like that perspective. I can't wait for you to come and check it out.
Dude, I can't wait for you to tow me into one of those things.
Yeah, bro.
You've seen me surf now. You're like, this guy's gonna die.
So let's do that. I mean, like we can
I would love
September when the conditions are better, we can get you over here and tow you into some you know, maybe.
Is there like an entry level Nazare? Can you go and be like, hey, I want to surf like the easy Nazare, or is it all gnarly?
So Nazare is, I mean, you know, like the bigger it gets, the gnarlier it gets. But I think I can tow you into like a 10-foot wave, you know, which is pretty gnarly, man. A 10-foot wave is a huge wave, you know.
Yeah.
Like I think I can tow
I
you
would
into
probably pull the plug before I'm on the wave. I'd be like, get me out of here.
Yeah. But, like sky's the limit, you know. Like it really tow surfing, you're being pulled by a jet ski, you know. Like at the end of the day, like if you're brave enough to do it and you think you got the skill, you know, which a lot of people think they do, which is kind of crazy. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years. I competed on the QS. I've won events.
Lifelong surfer.
Like I'm a lifelong surfer, and I build up to this moment. And there's a lot of people that think that can do it, you know, just because they do other crazy shit, you know.
Totally.
And it's dangerous, man. Like people get beat up, but they do it. They might not ride the wave like a guy like Nico Schirmer or myself ride it, you know, like, but they do it, you know, like they ride a little bit on the shoulder, but there's it amazes me how crazy people are. And there is a lot of people like that, you know, like there's a lot of people that come, you know, and just show up in Nazaré, tow into a couple waves, and all of a sudden, you know, 5 years later, they're doing it, you know?
Oh, yeah, like they're properly doing it. Yeah. Because that's the thing, too. Like with skiing, you have a lot of people. I see people coming to like Chamonix, like some of these gnarly places. And in Chamonix, it's kind of like Nazaré in a way. If it's just like if everyone had a jet ski, or like if there was one giant jet ski pulling 50 people into the wave at the time, because you have a gondola that just takes people to the gnarliest looking mountain you'll imagine. Like it's just, I mean, you been to Chamonix?
Never been to Chamonix.
I'll just show you this because it looks like a Bond villain's secret hideout. And you go up there, and I remember the first time going up there, you're just like, you can't ski from this thing. This is just too crazy. Like it's.
Is this Chamonix?
Yeah. So this is where you ski. Like you see that cliff, like you ski down there, and this is the lift that goes up there.
Holy fuck.
Oh, come on, let's get a aerial view here. This is a shitty video. Oh yeah. There you go. Anyways, it's just crazy. But the problem is you get any kind of person up there. There's not like to go to Nazaré, you need to get a jet ski, you need to get a little team, you need to get everything happening. In skiing, you just put a bunch of like tourists up there.
I've been skiing for 2 years.
And I watched some of it and I'm super scared. I'm like, this is actually kind of gnarly. But then again, like same thing happens. Like like when I showed up in Chamonix, I was pretty green. I was about to kill myself all the time. And then you survive that, and then you get the skill, and then you can enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, we all been there. Everyone deserves a chance at the end of the day. And who are we to judge, you know, like who deserves to be out there and who doesn't, you know?
Sure.
Hey, what has made you the skier you are today, or the successful skier you are today? You know, like what do you think are the characteristics that made you the skier you are today?
Yeah, interesting question. First of all, I'll say this, like I'm not by far like not one of like the, I mean, there are so many skiers who are better at me skiing at like a bunch of different aspects of it. You know, you have small waves, aerials. It's kind of same thing in skiing. Like I'm one of the top guys for sure in the world of like specifically what I do. There's a ton of great skiers out there who do crazier stuff in other domains for sure. And I think what has shaped me like in my skiing is definitely where I'm from. Like the reason I ski a bunch of the lines in the style that I do is because that's the kind of terrain that we have, and that's what I've grown up skiing. But like that's more of like the skier, like purely the skier that I am. And also I factor in there like the whole fear thing. Like I've always found it fun to like push past fear and to like try to ski kind of like at the very limit of my ability. And if you constantly do that, you will inevitably push that limit, you know, because you're always like, oh, is this possible? Oh yeah, it's possible. Okay, I'll try the next thing. So that's a skier thing. But if you look at like the pro skier Niko, like the YouTube channel, all that stuff, like the sponsors, everything. Honestly, that's just because like I basically have like a 9-to-5 job of managing my ski career with like we're working with a bunch of people and like managing a little production company and all that stuff. So I think the skier that I am, the skier that people get to experience online and in the videos, that's massively a product of me kind of being like a guy having like a fairly normal work week in terms of the amount of time that I put into just producing videos and like telling the stories of the days that I get to have out there. And I think that's pretty cool coming here to see your setup and like just seeing like, yeah, I mean, people always say people have no idea how much is behind it, but like seeing it live, coming in to see like your everything that goes into what you do, I was like, shit, like I really appreciate that, you know, and I really respect that, like that effort. Like one thing is surfing a huge wave or like skiing a big mountain, but combining that ability with like being able to organize a production team and like run a business, that's pretty unique. And it's cool to see that here.
Yeah. I mean, we try our best, you know, it's not like it used to be where you just show up and blow up, you know, like it definitely has to have a whole nother level of compromise, you know, of being committed to making it happen, whether it's out surfing or just producing in general, you know, like as you said, it's just there's so much that goes into being a successful athlete these days, you know. Totally. There's obviously the performance side, the training outside of the water, the training inside of the water, but also everything that goes, you know, writing scripts, putting together a team, making sure the filmers are there, making sure, you know, you have a solid team when you're riding big waves, you know, all the equipment that goes into hand. I mean, there's just so many aspects. So I feel like if you want to be successful in surfing, you just have to be committed. You have to really, you know, commit yourself to the performance side, but also be ready to, you know, to either have a solid manager or doing a lot of work yourself, you know?
For sure. And I think a lot of it is like, I think of it like this, you know, it's like we get to have these amazing experiences. Like to me, I mean, you told me how you came out of that barrel like green bush and you're just like, it's like one of the best experiences of your life. And what I think is so cool with this job is like getting to have the best experiences of your life, at least in the sporting domain. And then being able to let other people partake in that. And like for me, like I think one of the biggest sort of like turning points in my career was like realizing what the job is. And I think a lot of people think of sports as like the job is just to perform at the craziest level. And for sure, like that matters. But my analogy, I always say, you can have the voice of Beyonce, but if you're singing in the shower and nobody hears you, that doesn't have any value to anyone. For that to have value, you need to put Beyonce on a stage where 100,000 people can get to have the experience of what she does. And I think that's so cool about what I see you doing and what I try to do is like you have these peak experiences and then you make the effort to let other people in on it. And like you create value for these people. Like you are a positive contribution in their life and you get to like take the thing that you love the most and you get to have like 600,000 people get to be with you there at Nazare. And I think to me, that's super cool. It feels really good to actually contribute and not to just be the raddest dude out there, you know, but to like actually create something for someone else.
Oh, 100%. I agree. If you could give some advice to the younger generation, what would it be like to make it?
As a professional athlete?
Yeah, you kind of said it, but
yeah. I mean, for sure, you gotta love it. You know what? I mean, like
passion leads the way, man.
I never, honestly. I mean, I guess you got into the professional thing early, but at least for earlier than I did. And I probably would have wanted to if I had the chance. But for me, I just freaking loved it so much, you know. And I did all my projects. Never like, of course, part of it was like strategically, but always just because I'm freaking excited to do it. And at least to me, you know, if you really want to contribute to the world, like go to Gaza and be a doctor, or like help people who are like really in need. Like if the only reason to do what we do is because it's freaking the sickest thing in the whole universe.
For sure.
And
we're
like,
blessed.
you know, and I feel like I talk to young kids, they're so focused on like going pro or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that's okay. But like, you need to really enjoy it because unless you enjoy it, you will never have the motivation to stick with it because the game is a freaking grind and it's so hard and it requires so much work.
You got to do it for the right reasons.
You got to do it for the right reasons because I don't think you're going to stick around for, you know, I didn't go pro till I was 25, you know.
But for me, it's like, for sure, man. I mean, what led me to where I am today is passion.
Yeah.
Like, I'm extremely passionate I love surfing. I love being in the ocean. I love creating content, you know, and that's what really led the way. So I think doing it for the right reasons, doing it for yourself, doing it because you love it is the key to success, you know, and it just makes you fight harder and harder. Last question. I mean, we've been here for 2 hours and a half almost. Great conversation. I knew this one's going to be a banger. You're obviously a very smart guy. A couple of weeks ago, I saw a video of you talking about economy. I was like, holy fuck, man, this guy's gnarly. But what would you do if you wouldn't be a skier? What's your future looking like when you quit your skiing career?
Oh, good question. What's my retirement plan?
Because people always there's so many professional athletes that turn into alcoholics to, you know.
I'm going to do hard drugs.
No, exactly.
Hard drugs only. Honestly, I don't know. But like what I've done so far in my life is like I've kind of just jumped on opportunities as they arise. And obviously,
you're an opportunist.
Opportunist, yeah, exactly. And I mean, obviously, like I have a law degree. I have a production company up and going. I already made a bunch of commercial work. I made a movie. Like I might, maybe I'll stick with like media creation. I think, like you saw the economy video. I love just like getting into like the weeds of some topic, especially society. I think society is super interesting. Like how do we work together? Like what are the dynamics? All that stuff. So honestly, just kind of trying to follow whatever interests me, and also will pay the bills, sort of. But I don't know. Honestly haven't made a plan yet, and I think I can potentially keep doing this for 10 years if I still find it interesting and I still have the passion. What about you? What's the game plan? Where are you headed?
Fuck, I really think we have very similar career paths. We think a lot the same. Media is our world. I see myself exactly in the same business. I mean, I want to do something that I love. I definitely want to be associated to surfing in some way or another. I don't see myself having an office job not related to what I love, because that's what I've been doing all my life.
Yeah.
Doing something that I love. I don't mind working. Fuck, I work so fucking hard here with all the guys, I'm here every day, like I surf, I train, but I'm here in the office every day doing stuff that I love, but I work really hard, computer work. So I definitely want to keep doing something I love, and what I love people, I love media, I love Portugal, I love tourism, I love hanging out, so we're doing a lot of things these days. I mean, I was very fortunate to create Brusco surf accessories back in the day. That's out there in the shops. Creating media, we're doing commercials these days for Tudor, Yamaha, Leica. So we're really developing like a small production company. I love the branding side. I love the whole marketing side. I find it quite interesting. So, and then at events, we've been doing, one of my dreams is to have a hotel I can host people. That's been one of my biggest dreams. We already do the events next week. We're doing 2 events for Tudor, taking them in our environment of surfing. So I definitely see my future being somehow related to that. I think you're only as good as your team, and obviously having great people working with you elevates your work, and shout out to Antonio, shout out to Henrique, shout out to all the crew that works really hard behind the scenes, and hopefully we can do this for a lot longer. I'm not so afraid of the day where my career ends, to be honest. I honestly, I love what I do, but I also, surfing is going to be part of my life forever, whether it's in front of the scene or behind the scene, like helping young athletes develop. We're helping out Camille, which is an incredible, talented surfer, 13 years old, and I was very fortunate to have people support me in that process of becoming a professional surfer. And that's a beautiful thing that I want to do for the future generations as a job, ideally, but also not as a job, because the industry is really struggling in surfing and there's no money in surfing. So,
except for this guy, give him the money. He's doing well.
So I don't know. I think that's it. We'll see something related to sport and inspiring people. That's what I want to do. And
I think what's cool about like surfing, skiing is like, we'll do this our whole life, even if we're not like, I think there are very few sports like this where people like take surfing, out of high school, I went to Bali for 4 months to just surf. And like, how many people go to like Brazil to play football for 4 months and like save up money to do that? Totally. I think that's like what separates like surfing, skiing, snowboarding from like,
it's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle, and it's the best.
No, it's a lifestyle. For instance, I I went skiing for a bachelor party with my buddies,
Yeah.
Like we went skiing, we're hanging out, we're going to the après skis, we're partying a little bit, we're skiing all together, It's same with surfing.
Yeah.
Surfing, travel, go to different beaches, meet the culture, meet, gastronomic experience, we're so fortunate to have a passion within the sport, and whether it's skiing, surfing, skating, the whole action sports. And that's why us action sportnists, action sporters connect so well. Like we just breed, we have the same mindset, and we're writing, and that's it. And anything else you want to say?
I think that's a good note to end on. And I would just want to say thank you. I mean, I hope you start that hotel because you're a world-class host. This has been fantastic. And really cool to see how you guys do it. And to get to see your home here, your waves. It's been a dream.
Fuck yeah, Nico. So sick. Super stoked to do this with you. And such an inspiring story. Such a great YouTube channel. Check it out. If you can, Nico Schirmer on YouTube. And this is it. We're back on the YouTube program. We've had some great feedback on the episodes we did. Gave it a little break, but here we are. We got new equipment here. Just starting off the new podcast, and this is it. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and follow us for more. Nico and the Von Froth channel. Another episode of the Von Frothcast for you guys. See you next time.